Puerto Rican kid, bald head, loves snakes, loves Blizzy, Sergio Chacon.
Yeah. What up, Pa?
Peace. Welcome to the DBS podcast. It's your boy Sergio Chacon, aka Blizzy Chacon. That shit whack. I mean, it's always gonna be Dirtbag Shit podcast. The DBS podcast. Peace, and welcome to the DBS podcast. It's your boy Sergio Chacon. Hope everyone's feeling well. This week I am joined by a very funny comic, longtime friend and actor. Please give it up and enjoy my boy, the man, Mr. Grant Cooper.
Look, I even got the plaid pajama bottoms on too.
Yo,
Dirtbag shit.
Hello, baby.
You got your plaid on too, huh?
Yes, sir.
Is that a fucking snake around your neck?
It most certainly is.
Oh my God. Damn.
Yeah, look at that. It's pretty, right?
God damn. What you doing with a snake, boy? All right. Yeah. How old is that thing?
2 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Look at that.
A common boa constrictor. When I was younger, I had snakes. But I had like garter snakes. Little pet shop garter snake, $12, And I enjoyed it for the time being. But man, then I was in Washington Square Park and I saw a dude moving around one of these. Yo, I was like, I want that. And for years, man, it was just like that memory. You know how in the memory bank, there's those pictures in your head? And
right.
I was like, damn, like the color of it, the way it like fell on his neck, man. I was intrigued. And then I treated myself to getting one 38 years later.
But check this out. When I was a bike messenger, one of our bike messengers, it was crazy boys, right?
New York City bike messengers are the wildest. Was this in New York or in Jersey?
Of course, New York, yeah. Fucking 90 to 93 when it was hot. When they was still, you know what I mean? You needed that and all that. And I worked every day. I didn't do, because a lot of bike messengers only work in the summertime and shit. Of course, I'm dirtbagging because that's all my only income, right? So I'm there every fucking day. At 7:30 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, I'm already heading downtown for my first deliveries. So anyway, our crew used to be nicknamed themselves Team 40 because after the day we would all meet up at the shop or whatever, and then they all drink these 40s, like this old English, like the old school shit. And most of the cats were white too. That's what was funny.
Yeah.
So their name was Team 40, right? Always drinking that old English 800, all that shit. And I wasn't drinking that shit. I had already did that, right? And so there's this one cat, Vincent. He ended up once he left, he ended up had a tattoo shop right down there off of 6th Avenue, like around Spring Street or something like that.
Okay. Right
at that little park before Spring Street, that little park opposite of West 4th Street when you go down a little further south. I forget what that little park is called. Anyway, so he had
that area though. That's the village,
Yeah, the village, right? So he had these snakes and shit because he was a tattoo artist. He had snakes, all these rescue things, right? And so he had this one snake, like your boy, but his head. I'm not lying. His head was like this. Like
no
this.
way.
I'm telling you, like this, right? And it's the biggest snake I've seen in person. Like, and he was in the all curled up in this big ass tank. Like, I was like shook about it. Like when I would see him, I was just shook. And so one day they took him out. They took him out on the street, right? But it took 3 of them to take him out, right? And of course, someone called the cops on their ass, right? And they had put the snake back or whatever, and they had one bigger than your boy right there, or is that a girl or boy, whatever?
The boy. His name is Astro.
Right. They're not gender specific anyway, right? So so the cop comes in and he sees the first snake like your boy, but a little bit bigger than your boy. And he was like, yeah, you can't, you know, we got a call and, you know what I mean? And you can't be taking these snakes out and all that other stuff. And Vince was like a real dirtbag. So he was like, no, it wasn't that snake. It was this snake. And, you know, so he takes him to the big one. The cop looked at that and said, the next time you take that thing out, I'm arresting your ass. Like that shit, like that. He was just like, you take that one out again, I'm arresting your ass. That's how big that motherfucker
What kind of snake was it?
It was like yours.
Yeah, it was probably a python because these get big, but like a Burmese python, an African rock python, those things get huge where their heads get like, you know, bang.
Yeah. Let me get my damn phone. I'm gonna text his ass anyway.
Yeah, do that. Let's see if he hits you back. So my guess would be an African rock python, a Burmese python, or reticulated python.
Yeah, I'm gonna text him
that is one of those.
Yeah, I'm gonna text him. But anyway, yeah, it was the big. Like, seriously, his head was about that long.
It could have even been an anaconda.
What it was a scary motherfucker. That's what it was. I'm telling you, that's what it was to me.
It's funny because there was a big boom with snakes in the early 90s.
Right, yeah.
Remember that? Like everyone had a boa constrictor.
Yeah, they were walking around with him like that and all that. Well, he was rescuing them and he had this big.
What was his name?
Huh?
What was the messenger's name?
Vincent.
Yeah, I knew a guy who had a rescue in Lower East Side Manhattan.
Vincent Sanchez was his name. I'm gonna ask him how big that what kind of.
You still got his number. Look at that.
Oh yeah. We still Hey man, when I was bike messenger, that was some of the craziest times of my life. I mean, I was out there.
New York City bike messengers are the wildest.
And this is for bike lanes and all this shit.
Yeah, this is before bike lanes, man. I mean, no helmets. You know, they got.
Oh, I wear a helmet. Yeah. We used to get doored all the time. One time I got doored by a homeless guy. You know how those trash cans open like that, the top of the trash can?
Yeah, like a mini dumpster kind of thing.
Right. Motherfucker, he opened that, he doored me like that. Boom. You know what I mean? And then usually on bike, when you're on the bike, you curse everybody out, whatever. But when he doored me, I was like, what am I gonna say to him he ain't already heard? You know what I mean? I just kept it moving, but boom, he doored me like that.
Wait, somehow, how did he door you if you were on the street? Were you on the sidewalk?
Well, the can was next to the curb, and he opened it, and it opened it into the street.
Oh,
I'm just and I'm riding next to the curb, which is rare because back in those days there were no bike lanes. So if you really wanted to make money, you rode down the middle of the street. Right. You know what I mean? Like in between the cars. That's how I used to do. And I did that for 3 years with no helmet ever. That's some stupid shit. But
just no helmet, just big ass calf muscles.
Yeah, big ass. Yeah. And there was a dude. That's funny. There was a dude. There was a bike messenger with one leg. True story.
Wow.
One leg. Yeah. He was at the biggest leg ever. You know what I mean? And that motherfucker, it was embarrassing. That motherfucker, if you wasn't good, he'd pass you. You know what I mean? Dude, you know, somehow he had his bike where he was able to pedal the other side, but he had one leg, one big fucking like Lance Armstrong leg, right? Big motherfucking leg, right?
I mean, I wonder if he was born like that or that was due to an accident. Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know. But the thing is,
he adapted well.
Right, that's like a guy boxing with one arm. You know what I mean? But not.
That's how I was gonna get
just
to.
Boxing with one arm, like fucking people up. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
Yo,
so I was gonna tell you. Yeah, I was gonna tell you that when you mentioned that guy, that messenger with the one leg, it reminded me of this time. Which, by the way, I want to, anybody who's listening from Mendez Boxing Gym, I give a huge shout out to that club. I went to Mendez Boxing Gym for years. They recently closed down because of COVID. Very sad. A lot of relationships were bonded there. A lot of rivals were met there. I mean, it really was a place where I really honed the craft of boxing. So to everyone at Mendez Boxing, man, much love, man. It's very sad that COVID, they weren't able to survive. The owner of it died, and some staple trainers from New York City who trained there passed away. And they got hit hard, man. And,
a couple trainers passed or one trainer?
Yeah. So the owner tried. Excuse me. The owner succumbed to it. And he's like the embodiment of the American dream, man. He's an immigrant. Came out here, started working in New York City gyms. His name was Francisco Mendez, and I don't know all the details, but he basically opened up not one, not two, but 3 gyms. Eventually consolidated them into one big gym.
Right.
Right there on like 26th Street and like Madison Avenue.
Okay.
It was a great gym. It lended itself to pro boxers, to white collar, people who want to get fit. Young people, women. Like it was just an all around good gym. And I just learned that they just closed their doors the day before yesterday. Damn. But their first location, I forget what street it was on, but you went upstairs. One of their first locations. You went upstairs to the 3rd floor, and it was a smaller gym, 2 rings. One time this guy was looking for work, and work in the boxing gym is sparring. I know. He's a nice guy. But dogs, he had the stump. He had the stump. And I saw him hitting an uppercut bag. Grant, he was rocking that hit. And it was, obviously he's coming off a little short. He got to but he know how to measure. He was like, and he was like, hey, man, you're looking good in that bag. I was like, thanks, man. He's like, hey, you want to get some work in? And I was like, I'm good. I said, I'm good. I said, nah, I don't want that work. And he kept on asking me. I knew he wanted that work. He wanted to put it on me. And
yeah, he did.
There's no way I could win that.
Right.
Like if I beat the guy with one hand.
You beat the guy. You beat the handicapped guy. You beat a cripple motherfucker. Right.
And if he beats me, I lost.
You got beat up by a handicapped guy. Right.
And I knew from the way he worked the bag, and like he had something to prove that he wanted to catch him with an uppercut with that chicken wing fist. He was trying to lay that shit on my teeth.
Right, you're a smart nigga. You were like, nah, yeah. You know what I mean? Because some people would have took that fucking work and got beat.
I seen him sponsor. He went mad hard. He went like 100. He went like 100. His conditioning was good. He never got tired. He was hitting the speed back with the stump, doing tricks. That stump becomes it becomes numb after a while.
Right. Well, yeah, just like anything else. But see, that back to the bike messenger, he also had one crutch on his bike. So he had one crutch like on the side of it. So when he got off that motherfucker, he just, went on and did his thing, boom, boom, and delivered his package. But I'm not even making jokes. That motherfucker was fast. Like, you know what I mean? And when you have 2 legs, you'd be like, how does this motherfucker passing me, right? Especially if you're out there all the time. Now, if you're out of shape, you'd be like, well, yeah, he's out here all the time. But if you're a bike messenger, you out there all the time, and another messenger got 1 leg, and he zooms right past you, you gotta just check you gotta check your choices. You know what I mean? Like, am I really built for this? You know what I'm saying? Shit like that.
Right.
But you're smart. You didn't let that guy whoop your ass.
He baited me, bro. He baited me, and I didn't bite, bro. I had mad excuses. I was like, nah, man, I gotta pick up my mom from.
Yeah, like the comics when they see those shows that we used to do, and then they would look in the room, and all of a sudden, I ain't gonna call the name out on this one motherfucker, but I know you remember this one when the dude said he had a stomach ache. Remember that motherfucker? Yeah. He said his stomach was hurting.
Oh,
but they standing around waiting for spots.
Yeah, but they were waiting for spots that were good spots. They were waiting for like a packed room. The crowd is hot.
Right. People not cursing you out and shit. Yeah. They're looking for like yeah.
That's so
remember that shit though? Remember that?
It was a midnight show. It was like 12 people in the audience. I believe I just gotten off, and like the second comic was running late, and you were like, so-and-so, you want a spot? We need somebody. He was hanging out all night. He was like, nah, my stomach hurts.
But so you
look at me. Yo, Sergio, ain't that some shit? Been hanging out all night, got the spot, and he don't want that shit. Ain't that some shit? And you looked at me just like that.
Yeah, they hanging around. Yo, you remember the room 12:30 show? People a lot of careers were canceled because of that show.
Yeah,
right?
so we worked Laugh Lounge, which was on Essex Street, and the Lower East Side was open, you know, and it was open for a good, I would say it had like a good 9-year run, right?
It was exactly good
Right?
call. 9 years. 9 years.
You know, you were a staple in there, and you hosted the shit out of these shows. Some of these shows were hard. Hard.
Tell them how hard it was, man. Tell them how hard. Like, you know, hard like you would quit comedy hard. That kind of hard.
Tough, man. And you know, you cut your teeth on those joints.
Man, I cut my teeth, I cut my elbows, I cut my knees. I was like Muay Thai motherfucker when I got out of it.
You had it rough, man, because you know, like the booker would just throw you up. No comics would be in the room. You know, it's 5 people in the audience, sometimes drunk, and there's not a comic in the house. They're waiting for a comic to show up, and you got to start the show.
Speak the truth. You remember Darius, right? Remember Darius, our boy Darius, right? Darius is, for all those folks out there listening, Darius was the one of the main bartenders. And so Darius would look at, when they got the TVs, the monitors going down to the room, Darius would watch the monitors. And so when I come on the host, and the host's supposed to do about like 10, 15 at the most, and then bring up the first comic. I'd be on the stage so long that Darius is looking at the monitor, and Darius, the bartender, goes, Grant's still on stage. This is Sergio, 40 minutes into the show.
Wow.
40 minutes into the show.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The first comic didn't show up, or
or the booker didn't book the comic.
Yeah. Oh man.
But you know, but I was able, after that, I was able to do anything, you know what I mean? So, I mean, yeah, it was annoying, and it really, really almost killed my spirit. But getting those laughs, and you know, and the people keep coming back and seeing us and asking for you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing like it. You know how it is when you have a really, really good show, you can't sleep. You can't, right. You know what I mean?
Right, you're like high off of it. I remember the time you were on stage. It was a pretty hot crowd, I believe. We were having a good time. I don't think I was even on the show. I think I was just hanging out. And you went into the front table, and you asked the woman, I think you asked her something along the line like, "What do you have in your purse?" Because right? What do you have in your purse? And you were like, no, let me see what you hiding something. Like you being mad.
Here you go.
Tell the story. What was it? She had toilet paper.
Okay, so it was the check spot, doing the checks, and you know how the checks are. People start, you know, arguing with each other, and so that's what fuck with the audience,
right?
So I was just, thing. A mailbag person. I was like, well, what you got in here so big?
Okay.
Right? And so she had a big person. It was so big. I was like, so what are you carrying in? And when I picked it up, a roll of toilet paper rolled out of it. And so I started laughing about, I hadn't paid attention to somebody's in the background goes, she stole it. And then I was like, wait a minute. And I looked at the roll, and the owner, Delilah, was walking by, and I go, Delilah, is this our toilet paper? And Delilah was like, yeah, and then all hell broke loose. Like Delilah wanted the roll right then and there. I was like, no. And oh my God. And then
That's hilarious. So you go into I'm sorry, I'm just gonna recap it because of course this is Zoom. People know the deal. I mean, this is what it is right now. So it was choppy, like you broke up a little bit. So you go into the front row. A lady had a big ass bag. You said, what the hell is in that thing? You find out it's toilet paper. You're laughing at this toilet paper. And it turns out it's the same name brand as the one we use at the club.
At the club. So because they would stack like 4 or 5 rolls in there.
Remember, it was like a white she with like gold lettering, so it wasn't like a typical Scott tissue.
No,
or
it was
Charmin.
it was some dirtbag shit.
They bought by the bulk. Yeah, it was like some dirtbag shit that you get for like 99 cents for 100 of them.
Right. Like she bought the shit before Costco was Costco's, like that kind of, like she, you know what I mean? And so she had like, it seemed like 50 rolls in there. And I didn't even know it because I was just trying to make fun of carrying big person. Then it rolled out and like out of nowhere, the guy goes, she stole it. And then I go, yeah, Sergio, you know how those moments happen when it's like perfect because the guy goes, she stole it, right? And then I looked at it and Delilah was walking by, the owner of the club, at the same time. Perfect timing. And I go, Delilah, is this our toilet paper? And then you know how Delilah was. And then I ripped her an ass for like 30 minutes or so.
God damn.
I lost my voice. I put that up. I put that up on my Facebook page. People, I told people to.
You have video footage of it?
I told people to start filming because I was like, start filming because I ripped it for like 15 minutes, but I'm like, use your phones. And people started doing with their phones, and then people started sending me the footage. And then I wrote this big old note about it. One of the funniest things ever.
That was hilarious, man.
Good callback, man. Good callback. Yeah, that was a typical. Laugh lounge moment.
Just, and when you steal like petty items like that, it's just like it feels like such a big victory for you. Like, as a person who's still like, you know what? Because I remember the bathroom, like it just had them stacked up on the shelf. So you might be tempted. You got a big enough bag. Let me go boop, 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 boop.
Yeah. And what's funny, Sergio, is to really remember it, when it fell out of her bag, right? It rolled out of her bag under the table, and it rolled to the next couple, and she was trying to get it. And the girl that was sitting at the table, the next couple, she kicked it to me. She kicked it like it was like a soccer play. Like she kicked it to me right away, and then I snatched it like this. Like I had snatched it up real quick. And then I was just doing my thing. And then dude was like, she stole it. And
she stole it.
Good call.
Hilarious.
Good call back, man. Good one. That was a good one. Yeah. I posted that one on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
Long ago. Man, Sergio.
Interesting if we could recover that. If you recover, I want you to send it to me.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll send.
Fine.
I'll send you that. Yeah, I'll send you all of that. I'll send. Yeah, that was Laugh Lounge was like that, man. One time, one of the many times, audience members, because we didn't have no bouncers and we didn't have nobody paying attention.
No, that was the one thing. I mean, you want to talk about like clubs like evolving. One thing that clubs should do, always have security, without a doubt. Right, that's one. Two, I think they should eliminate, and some clubs have gotten better with this. No check spot.
Oh, right.
Eliminate that.
Right.
Check spot. And also the 2-drink minimum. People are gonna drink, Grant.
Right.
They're gonna drink.
Right.
This thing where the pressure to, you gotta buy a drink, and like those poor waitresses. Some of those waitresses were just burnt out, and now you're like going up to the patrons, like, "Hey, you have to buy another drink," interrupting your shit, interrupting my shit. This adds tense.
Well,
to the moment.
Yeah, it does. It add a lot. You're right. That's a good point. It adds tension. But what another thing is, if the wait staff isn't good, because there's some clubs that I wasn't like a regular at, that the wait staff was so quiet. You'd see them, but they're quiet. Like at Gotham waitresses, and that's a big ass club.
They're complete professionals, but
big ass club.
Yeah,
and the check spot is like no big deal the way they do it. Yeah. But I agree with you. Check spot should just be a regular fucking spot, and you just do your thing.
I think it should just be like this. First of all, no 2-drink minimum, because people then go in with this feeling of like, first of all, you're being interrupted, right? You're watching the show, and then there's someone going, hey, what do you want for your second drink? Rather than when you're ready for your next drink, you just go, they have another one. It's just the weird thing to have someone interject into your party and say, you have to buy another drink. Or what's your next drink? That's one. Because people are going to drink. They're going to drink. It's not like they're not going to drink. And then they sell the tickets, like whatever the ticket may be. I mean, if it's a $20 ticket for the show, that's it. They're in the seat. So they reversed it, right? They used to sell free. They used to give away free tickets with the hopes of selling drinks. But
well, that's what I mean. But you know what the saying is: a comedy club is nothing but a bar with a stage. That's basically what it is. I would say to amend what you're saying, and I agree with you a lot. It should be at least a 1 drink minimum, because speaking of dirtbag shit, there's a lot of dirtbags that come in that don't want to buy anything, but they want to see a show. Like they don't want to spend any money. I've worked a lot of clubs, and there are some people that expect to come in and not buy anything. There's some people that come in, expect 2 drinks to be free. It's you know what I mean? But dude, that's all. Yeah, I'm not lying. There's motherfuckers that come in. Oh, I thought these 2 drinks were free. So wait a minute. So we pull you off of Times Square, right? We don't pull you off of Times Square. We got all these lights up in this motherfucker, right? Electricity, Con Ed, right? And we're gonna give because you didn't have shit to do. So we're gonna give you 2 drinks for free, and whatever you want to order, right? Whatever you want to order, not like. You just getting some bullshit, Seagram 7. You know what I mean? Like whatever you want to order, 2 of them for free.
Plus some toilet paper out that motherfucker.
Nice comment. And you don't have to tip the waitress. Fuck her. You know what I mean? You don't give her shit. You know what I mean? She's an intern, right? Whatever. But yeah. So
these are kind of like old world problems. It'd be interesting how the landscape changes, with comedy clubs now.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how, what's going to happen whenever, people are allowed to fucking start doing stuff inside and taking
because
the mask off.
Dangerfields is done.
It's done.
It's done. It's done like Queensbridge Mob Beat. Done. Done.
Dangerfields has been like a club that's, like a motherfucker that's been in a coma for like 20 years and shit, never went anywhere, right? But but they still on. They're like, but the motherfucker ain't. That's Dangerfields.
I know.
Dangerfields has been done when I came to the city, and they still fucking survive.
It was like a museum, man. You had the waiters dressed up. First of all, the wait staff was all males, like mad old school, dressed up with like white long sleeves and black vests. And they used to put some of the wait staff like on stage. Like one dude would close the show. Like the oldest waiter would like close the show with bar jokes. It was a tough one, man.
Yeah, it was a mobbed up place. That's what I
don't know if they just had it open for tax reasons, but it was tough. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you might just pull a bullshit product out like, we need to collect some, just for tax reasons.
Yeah, we running our money through there. That's what we doing. Motherfuckers is running money through there. Yeah.
It's wild. And then another one, which I didn't work Dangerfields too much. Every now and then, but they were just old school, man. Like, and not in a good way. They were, you if you want to work that club, it's like send a tape. What? Like send a tape? Like a VHS tape?
Yeah, and not a DVD. There's a VHS. That's funny.
Yeah, they were. And another club that recently closed. It was more of an alternative club. Was a Creek in the Cave. You heard about that, right?
Oh yeah, they closed too.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because at least that club was thriving with creativity. Like the comics had a real hand on what went on. Like as far as their shows, they had everything from like a naked show to like like one-man shows. Like Ted Alexandro was always doing his stuff there.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he would do the intern. He would do the summer intern type or whatever. Yeah, right. Wow,
So,
they closed. Wow.
Yeah, they've been open for like 13 years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a lot of being that I'm an actor too. A lot of theaters have closed too. A lot of theaters that has been around a long time, and actors are in their own way. People who are just actors, they're more cultish than comics could ever be. You know what I mean? So when they love a theater or something like, and that motherfucker closed, you would think like, Jim Jones, the real Jim Jones, who fucking took 900 people with him with that Kool-Aid, like that motherfucker died or something like that. But you didn't get to take the Kool-Aid, shit like that. So it's a lot of those places have closed too. A lot of shit ain't coming back. Just ain't coming back.
What is your prediction? What do you think happens next? Do you think that people? I mean, we're always gonna survive. I just think people are becoming more innovative with how they creative and how they get their work out there. I just think it's different. It's more virtual, and people are gonna adapt and do well. Like people get, we're very durable. Human beings are durable. We'll get by. We just gotta be open to the change and ride it. Right, it's a wave. Just kind of roll with that shit.
Right. Well, good question. But because the thing is technology was already creeping in and taking over. Technology is like a motherfucker that finally got his driver's license. Now this motherfucker want to drive, and then next thing you know, this motherfucker didn't ask you. He's just driving, right? Driving your car, and you can't drive it no more, right? That's what technology is to me. Like it just took over the wheel. Like or like you're a senior citizen, you can't drive anymore because you can't see or some shit, or you killed somebody. Right. Like that kind. So technology was already, creeping into our lives in all types of ways. But a pandemic sped all that up. So my prediction is only the strongest clubs or establishments that can do the live stuff are going to last. But then there's always going to make some room for some new shit to come in. And the newer ones are of course, are going to be fueled by younger people or younger thinking people who sat back and experienced this. And then they're going to be able to have a place that's open, that's going to have this virtual stuff incorporated into it in a larger way. Right. But then a lot of gigs are virtual. Like I wanted to come and hang with you in person because I know even in person we would vibe more. But we can't take the chance with the virus or whatever. So we have to do it like this, right?
Which, by the way, I could just feel the difference.
Right.
You virtual in a good way. I mean, because it's you, Grant, a dude, like one of my closest friends for years. A dude I love. Like it's easy, but there's times, and people who listen to the podcast know, then they just know when I know when there's that like, oh yeah, this shit would have been better in person because this virtual shit already puts up a wall.
Right.
And
right.
It makes it a little, it's different. It's for sure like a little different off a beat. I wish all my guests could be people like you, because then it's easy.
I appreciate that. So we have the advantage of I think we have the advantage, of course, our friendship, but also the advantage of coming back to all those crazy shows we did, or our personal lives where we're warriors. Like we always had to adapt and all this other stuff. So you and I, or people like us, can always think on our feet. Can what I mean? And not even trying to be funny or trying to be witty or trying to debate somebody. It's just who we are, right? So, but a lot of people aren't like that. Like a lot of comics aren't funny past their material. A lot of comics aren't interesting past whatever they do. And you've seen these comics where they, if an audience is not listening, like if an audience isn't listening 100%, some comics are thrown off. Like comics with names, stuff like that. So I wonder how they're going to survive with the virtual thing, because if you don't have, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but if you don't have a personality in person, you know what I mean? Like you don't give off that energy in person. It's much harder, when you're doing this virtual thing. Like I'm trying to do this virtual gig with the museum here in Hoboken, right? And this guy's, and the owner's, not the owner, but the guy who runs it is very skittish about it, because he has an older crew and all this other stuff. But I'm trying to get him to understand, like, you tell me what the vibe is, and then I bring the right comics. You know what I mean? If you want to, clean or and all this other stuff. But because he hasn't dealt with comedy per se, as far as for the museum, but the museum needs to work because the museum has been shut down. You see what I mean? So now the museum probably wouldn't do no comedy show before, but now the museum needs people and things to make money. So here I come in with this idea, hey, let's try to do this or whatever. And you got to sell it to him. Like, we're going to do this there. You don't want this type of too much cursing or you don't want someone ranting about Trump. Okay, cool. I'll just trust my word that I'll get people who can do what we need to do. But because he's never experienced it, he's nervous. And then it makes me kind of nervous, because then I'm like, well, shit, I don't want to sit here and worry about what I'm saying. I just want to sit here and just be funny.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of to try to keep answering your question is we're going to be dealing with a lot more of that type of stuff. A lot of places need comedy, and a lot of us comics, because a lot of clubs aren't going to be open, or club-like situations right away. A lot of us still going to be virtual, and then the places that do open are going to have to be. They can't do the old model, just like you were saying. Some of that old stuff can't work anymore. Like, are we going to do the check? Some of that shit can't work anymore because people's attention spans are.
Yes, gone. Man. I mean, you talk about the attention span, especially with everything being digital. It's like 30 to 40 seconds.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And if you ain't right. It's like doing a hood room, right? Like a hood room where motherfuckers.
What was the most hood room you ever done? I got a couple, man. I can't wait to share. What's the like dogs? You can take 10 seconds. Think about that. Talk about hood.
Well, let's see. Manhattan proper used to be this old school club. I think it was in Queens or whatever. But Sunday nights at the old Boston Comedy Club, where Will and Talent and them used to host this thing. I got booed on that motherfucker. I got booed, right?
The audience, like, because the venue itself wasn't like a hood room. It was an actual club.
It was hood night, right?
Yeah,
hood night.
Hood night.
And I like to say sometimes. Now I took the L because I didn't want to. Let's say, I don't want to say I didn't want to give them what they. Like, I should have opened up, how you got to open up? Like, it's like when you boxing someone, right? Like some cats you can mess around, but some cats you got to hit like right away and let them know.
Off the bat.
Yeah, you got, this is what you're going to get if you step in here, right? And you know what I mean? And so that's how the hood room. And that club, one time I got booed on, and I was ready to fight the whole club. Like, I was like, you try to pull me off stage, and I was like, fuck, I was ready to rumble. But that's probably that, and Manhattan proper is probably, and anything you do, sometimes have you done any of Imagine shows up in the Bronx?
I can't do them. I won't. I think I've done one, and I was like, dogs, I just can't do it. It just takes so much out of me, bro. I mean, what I remember most about like Imagine is the experience of everything, but the actual stand-up. The experience of traveling deep in the Bronx and then waiting 2.5 hours,
right?
And then seeing people talk throughout the entire sets of other comics. That's what I remember. I don't remember my shit anymore because that is so overpowering.
Yeah, I was at one Imagine show with Tony Woods, right? I'm just hanging out with Tony Woods. I'm hanging out with Tony Woods. Why I'm going all the way in the Bronx when I'm not performing is another thing, right?
Tony Woods is your boy. You figure I'm just gonna roll through. I haven't seen Imagine in a while. I
Right.
get it. You've done it.
Right. Or or we might have been getting high. Allegedly. Right. So anyway, yeah. So I'm hanging out with Tony Woods. Now, Tony Woods. And to me, Tony Woods is one of the funniest motherfuckers
I agree.
This side of Richard Pryor. He's absolutely one of the top 5. This side of Richard Pryor.
Not only is he naturally funny, he got jokes and he's smart. He's super likable with a cadence that it's really disarming because
it's so smooth,
slow and easy going.
He's like a late night DJ, like a, quiet storm DJ where, your girl want to fuck him because he sounds so smooth and you got to go, yeah, he is smooth. You should fuck him. I'm going to let you fuck him because he's smooth. In fact, y'all give him some pussy because, I'm not even going to bring it up in the future. Just go on and give it to him. Because if I had some pussy, I would give it to him too, but I don't. So you give him the pussy because he's smooth. That's how smooth that motherfucker is, right?
Smooth,
like Bill Clinton smooth. You know how Bill Clinton was smooth. Like Bill Clinton was smooth. That motherfucker talked some shit, right? That kind of smooth, bro. Yeah, so I'm up there with Tony Woods, and Tony Woods is gonna close. And Imagine up there with his crowd, Imagine's hosting, and Imagine don't tell anybody, shut up. So the motherfuckers is having those conversations, doing every comic's act.
And even Imagine's probably having a hard time.
Exactly, but he don't say anything. He don't like go, hey, shut the fuck up. He just let it go because he don't give a fuck, right? Yeah. And they talk through your sets like you're in their living room. Like all of a sudden,
wild, man.
Right? Yeah, like you have this illegal show in their fucking living room on their Sunday night, and they trying to have a little party, but you interrupted, like that kind of shit. And ready to fight if you say something, right? Like, and it's the Bronx. You don't know what's going on in the Bronx. Yeah. Well, somebody was supposed to do a setup there. I'm not even gonna call that motherfucker's name out. And that motherfucker was booked, paid spot.
And he left early. He got off stage.
He was there and he saw the room.
And he broke out.
Motherfucker bailed on the set. He was there. Put me up. For free.
Didn't even pay you.
It gave me, maybe gave me $20 or whatever, but not even enough to get anything, right? I couldn't even buy anything, right? So anyway, but yeah, so I had to put on, it was one of those warrior shows where you just got to go up and let them know, fuck you, you're gonna talk, and then I did my thing where they stopped talking. Because Tony Woods is going to do that anyway, because like you said, his cadence, his jokes, he never says anything to anyone. He just, because he's Tony Woods, motherfucker's going to come to him. You know what I mean? And me, you know what I do? I take it personal in the sense, because I do love the art form. And I do think if you're having a comedy show, you should act like you want to listen. You don't have to laugh. Because a lot of us aren't funny and all of us shit ain't funny. And trust me, when we don't hear laughs, it hurts. Yeah. But when you boo us and you talk to us, it's like you not only stuck us with the knife, but you're twisting the shit. You know what I mean? Like you're doing like that. That's how that shit.
But the things those set up, they're not even giving you a chance.
Not a chance.
It's like it's not set up for it. It's disrespectful to comedy because it's like people feel like they could do what they want. No, this is a show. All we ask is for proper lighting, a mic that works, and the audience that's attentive. Those 3 things.
Right.
Right. If you're gonna rob us of 2 of those, it makes it really hard.
Yeah. When you got to worry about, like, if I say the wrong thing, is, am I going to get, or is it going to be a problem? Like, it's going to be a real fight. And when you're in another borough, you don't know. Yeah, you're in another borough in the hood.
I had a show with Hadir Robinson, Stanley Dubois, and Newburgh.
Okay.
Newburgh, New York. And I didn't realize. I told someone that, and they were like, Newburgh. And I'm thinking it's by Beacon, New York. I'm thinking like that's a nice area. Turns out, Manhattan is close enough to fucking Bronx. Like it's that type of shit, right? Like,
Right.
And So I look it up, but because this guy tells me, this guy who's usually mad calm, I was working with him at the gym. I said, I got a gig in Newburgh. He like, what? He went, what? Newburgh? He said, that's the crime capital of the country. That's the murder capital of New York. I looked it up, and sure enough,
murder capital of the state.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot.
Yeah, dogs. And this is like, I would say 8 to 10 years ago. And sure enough, I looked it up, and I got in my head, I'm like, oh man, this gig is gonna suck. But the pay is decent. So it's like a broken down club, right? When I get off the stop on Newburgh, I take a cab, and I asked, or Beacon. I think I got off on Beacon. I asked the cab driver to take me to his address. He said, "Oh, you're going to Newburgh, or you're going to Dust City?" That's what he told me. Dust City. He said, "Lock the doors in the back." I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, lock the doors." We went from seeing little rivers and lakes and restaurants. Yo, the transition was crazy. It went from like swans in a lake in Beacon to pit bulls loose in front lawns. Yo, I saw gang signs. I never see gang signs. The dudes doing this from across the street. I was like, oh shit. And then what I noticed that was really popping out was for long stretches down these Newburgh blocks, the businesses were all closed down. There was no stimulus, dog. People weren't working, but there was a lot of people out in the streets. I was like, oh shit. It looked dark. It felt dark. I get to the gig, and it's at a nightclub. I remember I went to the bathroom, and there was like cocaine residue on the toilet paper. Like, I was like, oh, this place can't be that bad.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's dirtbag shit.
So Dubois was supposed to go first. I was supposed to go second. Javier Robinson was supposed to go last. And I go out, I'm smoking a cigarette or something, during that time, I smoke. And the guy says, yo, don't go off the block. There's stick-up kids around here, so if you need anything, make sure you got me or one of my team. It was like the promoters. And I was like, fine. So Dubois running late. So I go first on stage. 1 minute into my thing, some dude comes up on stage like that. Yo, what you said about my girl? And walks up on stage. I back up. He goes, nah, I'm messing with you, man. You mad funny. Yo, my heart went like that. Wow. But it was that energy, dogs. I gotta tell you, for a Hell Gig setup, one of the best audiences I've ever. You know why? Because they appreciate it, and the setup was done right. But the outside energy, we were on church chairs from across the street. People had church chairs, and they really needed those laughs. It was like a really good audience, but everything surrounding it was tough. We had the last train left at 10. The gig started late. Me and Hadia just made our train. The promoter like, yo, y'all can crash in my crib. I was like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, so that was one, like, that it felt dangerous. Not the actual show, but everything surrounding the neighborhood felt mad dangerous. Another time, I think I did something close to, it was deep in Brooklyn, man. Brooklyn is big. People forget how big Brooklyn is. And I believe I was with Stanley Dubois again. And I remember we walked into the club. Yo, the club, the bouncer said, you got an ID? I was like, yeah, I'm one of the comics. He was like, take off your shoes. I'm like, excuse me? I was like, I'm one of the comics. I'm performing. He's like, take off your shoes. But yeah, everyone get checked. Everyone got to take off their shoes. I was like, yo, we had to take off our shoes before we entered. Yo, places that make you take off your shoes have shootouts every 6 hours. There was dudes in pajama pants like us, Grant, like us, hanging out at the spot. So they're like neighborhood dudes smoking with flip-flops on in the club, talking. And once again, it turned out to be a decent show, but like the energy of the play, there was like loaded pistols and, So they don't really qualify as Hell Gigs, but like dangerous.
Well, yeah. When we walked somewhere one time, we had where was that? That was Brooklyn, right? We had, deep in Brooklyn. Yeah, we went to this gig. went to this game, got off. We got off the train, right? And then we had to walk. And it was like night. But it was like
long
the
ass walk.
long blocks with nothing. You know, like forensic files blocks. You know what I mean? Like shit where people come up missing.
It was Brooklyn or the Bronx?
It was Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It was Brooklyn. You know Brooklyn?
I've done shows in the Bronx where I get off and then I'm going to one of like Edgar's or Imagine's, and I'm walking by like vacant lots and like.
Well, that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
I was walking around with vacant lot with a white woman. So you know what I'm saying? So it's a lose-lose. Either I kidnapped her or somebody's going to kidnap her from me, right? Like that kind of shit. Yeah. And we walk along blocks with a white woman in the hood. A block that I shouldn't even be walking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With a white, not like a white woman with a tan, like a pasty white woman. Real white. You know what I mean? So like they're like, what the fuck you doing here? You know, that type of white. Like, and we walk a long fucking way. The bar was cash only. So you know, any place that's cash only is a dirtbag place. You know what I mean? Because motherfuckers is, got bad credit cards. You know what I mean? Who writes checks? Still trying to write a check. Nobody writes checks. Motherfucker trying to write a check. You know what I mean? 2 forms of ID. That don't even go, right? The kind of shit like that, Sergio. We walked, it was like forensic files blocks. Shit like that, dude, where you pull up around and dump a body block, like the kind of that shit. Cause we ain't in the where grass is and shit. So you gotta dump bodies in the city, these kind of blocks. Yeah. We walking to a gig that might have paid what? $20? That's why we couldn't even take a cab, because it would have been the whole.
You're doing that shit. Those are the type of shows you just haven't been up in a while. You just want to get up on stage. It's something to do.
That's what because nobody wanted. Everybody was my friend when I was at Laugh Lounge. You know how comics, when you got the owner's ear or you booking, everybody checks in on you and shit. Probably calling on days there's no shows. My friend, oh yeah, I just want to see how you doing, man. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit. Like they're my cousin or something, right? But then when you ain't got shit, you know what I mean? Nobody knows you. You know what I mean? Nobody forgot. Yeah. So yeah, it was one of those gigs where I needed to get up and get on stage, and we were walking blocks, dangerous blocks, where you go, I'm glad I got here. I don't care how the show goes. I'm alive. Yeah. Thank Jesus. Yeah.
I wonder what part of Brooklyn that was. Do you remember?
I don't remember. We have to think about it. I wish we.
Because I'm interested. I've done. If you tell me, do you remember who show it was? Because you tell me that, man, I can start getting a.
I know. You probably did them all. That's so funny. Sergio does it. Sergio's a warrior. He'll do all them shows. I can't remember it though. I have to think about that one. But yeah, I've done them all, man. I've done all them shit.
And it's not like we didn't come from rough neighborhoods. I mean, I grew up in Lower East Side in the 90s. Shit was rough.
Right.
It's home. You grew up in Camden, New Jersey.
Right.
I mean, Camden, New Jersey is like the murder capital. At one point,
it was the joke. It was the most dangerous city in America for 2 years in a row.
Crazy. Now, when you were coming up, it felt like that. It was that.
Yeah. Well, so when I was coming up, yeah, but like when but being in Lower East Side, when you're in the middle of this shit, you know where to go and where not to go.
You know how to move around.
Yeah, you know how to move. And you see a motherfucker walking fast behind you, you start jogging. You just say, fuck it. I'm going to get in shape, right? You just start moving. Fuck it. You know what I mean? You don't. And if you hanging out somewhere, and this is an old one. I know everyone's talked about this, but it's so true in the hood, in any hood. And when I say hood, it could be trailer park too. Right. White, that's the white hood. Where you hanging out at some big fucking function and people start running, you just run. You don't, you know what I mean? Like everyone's done some version of this joke, but it's true. Cause I've done that. I've done that at a Rick James concert. At a Rick James concert, not Super Freak, but the album after Super Freak. He was still hot, right? And we at the old Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. And I'm on the ground. We're on the ground and in the football field. And Ricky was smoking weed and people was throwing up joints and stuff, throwing up joints to the stage. He was like, pick one up. Y'all ain't gonna let the cops, arrest me. My motherfucker's like, no, all that bullshit. Now, of course, he lights it up because he's singing Mary Jane. We love you, Mary Jane. And so we crowded. All of a sudden, you know, the crowds go, it's like a wave. So people started like this waving, then people started running. And I was with a chick, and I was like, we running, you know what I mean? And she was hood. We ran, you know, I mean, like, and not like jogging, like you're trying to catch the bus.
I like hanging out with someone like a chick who can run, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean? You ain't gotta say, come on, bitch. No, motherfucker, like you gotta say, God damn, she's fast, right? Like that kind of, like she already up there, like flow, like Flojo. It's running, boom. And we just running real fast. And then we look back and the crowd parted like you ever watched the Ten Commandments, that part where Moses parts the sea? It opened up like that. A big hole opened up, and it was another white couple, and they was chasing them, and then they just caught them, and then the hole just closed back up, and everybody just went back to partying, like, you know, listening to Rick James. So the thing is, you're right. We grew up in those hood places. But when you survive those places, you don't want to go to another hood place. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Especially when you're trying to work and risk it when you survived all those years in the hood place that you lived at.
Yeah, man, you got to be smart. I follow my intuition. I learned that from back in the day. I remember I was cutting school one day, junior high school, and all my friends, I was going to Seward Park High School, and all my friends were like, yo, we're going to a house party, a hooky jam. And I was like, wait, they were like Brooklyn. I was like, bet, let's go. I'm thinking like across the bridge, Williamsburg. I could deal with that. I know someone in Williamsburg. I could deal with that. No, we were on like the one train or something, like going to Brownsville.
Oh, that's Mike Tyson, where he used to live.
Yeah, Mike Tyson, Cannon Briggs, Zab Judah, Shannon Cannon, you know.
Right.
You know, a bunch of Riddick Bowe, you know, like all these monster boxes. And then you get the, you know, the dudes who ain't make it, who fight like those guys. The rap group Helter Skelter, Sean the Barbarian, Sean Price. I know. I felt uncomfortable. When we got off the train, all I saw was a beautiful summer day. Like it was like the end of the school year. Beautiful sunny day. I just saw these towers. It just felt like so foreign of projects. I had a little gold chain like this big. I went back on the train.
You went back on the train?
Home. Yeah, I went back home. I wasn't risking it.
Yeah.
Yo, what's the saying for Brownsville? We never run, never will. I was like, I'm from the Lower East Side. I'm running. None of those stick with me. It might stick with you guys if you live out here, but I'm going back home, whatever.
Yeah, you smart. See, I have that sixth sense too, man. I don't play.
I was like, nah, this feels like some drama. It's 6 of us from the Lower East Side. We got our little gold chains out. I was like, going to a hooky party, like meeting girls in their hood?
Yeah, right. So yeah, y'all like it looked like y'all trying to do the Latin version of Warriors.
Yeah.
Or the Outsiders. Yeah, right.
I went home.
Yeah.
I went home and walked my dog. I walked my pit. It wasn't even a real pit. It was like a golden retriever pit mix. I went home and walked my dog. And that was the excuse I used. I got to walk my dog. Fuck. Like you used to say, fuck that.
Yeah, I always, fuck that. Yeah, I used to hang with dudes that used to start doing those B&Es, breaking and entering in South, and I was like, yo,
what is that exactly?
Huh?
What you say? You used to hang out with dudes that did what?
What? When I was in high school, my last year of high school, I went to Vineland. I didn't graduate from Camden. I went to Vineland, which is a city south of Camden. And so, you know, living in a foster home and shit, you know, so you don't give a fuck, right? You know what I mean? But see, my thing is, I didn't give a fuck to a certain point. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't give a fuck long as I wasn't going to jail.
I forgot that you grew up in the system like that. Was that for?
Oh yeah, man.
I remember you telling me that. Now you just refresh my memory.
Yeah,
so was that like?
We'll talk about that. So yeah, so you know, the story for people who wants to understand is that I'm the oldest out of 5. Mom had a lot of mental issues, so we were back and forth in foster homes, and it's very hard for foster. Go ahead.
That's how it would work. Like if your mother had an episode or something, you would
right.
Family, because there was probably no family available. It would be foster homes, or would that consider
foster homes? Yeah, because part of mom's psychosis was paranoia. So she always had beefs with people. So she jetted from her family, because at one point we were all cool with our cousins and stuff, her sisters and all this other stuff. Then all of a sudden, boom, we are ghosts from them, and they didn't know where we were. So when she would have episodes, there's nobody around. No family, no blood. So what they do, they put you in a foster home. And there's 5 of us, and it's very hard for a foster home be able to take five kids at once. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of times we split up and all this other bullshit. So when you're in a foster home, even though, and the thing about a foster home, especially a good foster home, if it's a good foster home, and I say that with parents that are known to treat the kids good and all that, not just in it for the money, they'll try to load that one up with kids. But the thing about foster homes, they'll put kids like us, like we're in the foster system just because our mother's sick or something, and then badass kids that are in the foster system because their parents don't want them, or, they've been in trouble with the law, and, you all mixed in like that. And that's what's dangerous.
Yeah.
But when you're in the foster care, when you're in the foster system, at least what I felt, a lot of times the foster parents don't give a shit. So you don't have to worry about, like, bringing home a report card, or if the teacher say, yeah, you take this home to your parent, you'd be like, yeah, all right, whatever, like that. So my last year of school, senior high school, I'm hanging out with the dudes. We drink before school and stuff like that. But then those dudes would take it to another level. They were, they weren't necessarily, they weren't even in the foster system, but they were poor motherfuckers, poor people hanging together, right? That's what we do, right? But they would start doing B&Es, breaking in and entering in people's homes. And I wasn't in that. I was just like, because I knew I wasn't built for jail. And also my mom, when she was around, she instilled positive shit in us. So even though I was, $4 or $5 short every day in life, I was never trying to steal somebody's shit. Just wasn't going to do it. You know what I mean? Just what, there was free lunch.
It's a different mentality, a different,
right.
Someone who, it's such a personal crime too, to break in someone's home and steal. I remember some kids, they were like associates. They weren't my friends, but I had a friend from Brooklyn, and he knew a bunch of guys who were into that. And they were just like I looked up at them as dirty, grimy. I didn't trust them. The way they move, but you might hang out with them,
right,
or whatever, And I was like, damn, their energy is off. And there were like 6 of them, and they were into that. And they would target, get this shit, they would target Mexicans. And the reason why they did that, because a lot of these immigrant Mexicans had cash money under their beds, dog. They didn't even have bank accounts. They would just work their ass off, keep the money in the crib. And then, these fucking dirtbags will climb in the cribs in the middle of the night and rob them, like dirtbag shit, bro.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right.
And if you ever got, like, let's say you went in the crib and then and they were in there and they got caught, they wouldn't call the police because
they're illegal. Right. Yeah. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's a pretty decent system because, you know what I mean? They can minimize their chance of getting caught. But yeah, you have to have first of all, you have to be like fearless to go in somebody else's house. Because when you go in someone else's house, you don't know what you're going to walk into, because some people are built or prepared for people to break in their house. Some people are waiting for your ass.
Some people are thinking like, I wish someone would.
Right. And some people have dogs that say, "I wish someone would." You know what I mean? Like, badass dogs walking on two legs like that, like patrolling with, like, like a guard at night with a gun,
Yeah,
like that kind of shit.
On the couch, biting his little nail. I wish somebody would. It's a long time I got
You know,
something.
right? Drinking a Budweiser. Yeah, dog like that, just chilling, watching, late night TV, ordering shit on commercials. Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I always think about. What if you go in the house and motherfucker got a gun, motherfucker waiting for you and all that other stuff, and then how long do you stay in the house before you get the fuck up out of it?
The very thought of it creeps me out, like
right.
being in someone's dark apartment and looking through that stuff, like, oh.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, you can call me.
I was probably like 9 years old when I first witnessed. I had a friend named, his name was his name was Eddie, and I haven't seen him in 30 years. He was like a random kid that we hung out with, and he had the potential of doing things like that. Because when it's so funny how I look at my daughter being raised now. It's like so different from the way I was. Like, I used to hang out. Like, I wasn't a street kid, but we were allowed to go out. Like, I was out on my own 8, 9 with my friends, went through the project. We used to go under the project buildings and hang out in the pipes, like in the boilers, like playing manhunt, crazy shit. But there was a ledge to the projects on the first floor, right above the ground floor. There was a ledge, and he climbed up that ledge. He saw a Voltron in someone's window. He went in there and grabbed a Voltron, big ass Voltron, jumped down one flight and stole a Voltron from someone's home. And I was thinking, like, damn, I don't know. That's different. I would never think of doing something like that, So
yeah, that's the kind of cat, now when you look in the future, he, like, by the time he's 15 or something, he's got this juvenile record. But even the cops are saying, yeah, we're gonna see him after he's 21. If he doesn't get shot. That's like some cats and females too. Some people, they have that energy, unfortunately, where exactly where they're going. You know what I mean? Like, we had this one in grade school. And when I say grade school, I mean, this might have been 5th or 6th grade or something. And this kid's name was like, he had like a nickname, like it wasn't Google, but it was something like that. Something like Google, but not Google, but something.
They got those little play names, like the little like Boo Boo.
Yeah. But when the teacher calls you that, that's when you know a motherfucker's going to jail soon, right? When they don't even call you by your government name.
At the age of 7.
Right. Motherfucker called Boo Boo. Boo Boo, do you know? And then Boo Boo don't give a shit, right? Boo Boo ain't listening, right? So this motherfucker was so bad. I remember, this is when they used to take the whole class to the library. The teacher would take the whole class to the library. Well, I remember we were in the library. And the teacher came to us. Our teacher came to us and said, we'll call him Boo Boo. She came to us and warned us, hey, Boo Boo is in the library. Like, she warned us and then walked off. You know what I mean? Like, we letting you know, but I'm not going to stay here. You know what I mean? Like, he was that bad. Like, Boo Boo's in the library. I'm letting y'all know. And then walked off. Yeah. I never forget that. And that's not even like seriously, it's not even a joke, but I'm talking about people like your boy who stole a Voltron. Yeah. Like, he was like that type of kid with that type of energy. Like, he was just straight wild, so wild that the teachers would warn other students, instead of kicking him out of school. I don't know why he was still allowed in school or whatever, but they had to warn us, like, Boo Boo is in the library. Be on the lookout, like, because he might fuck you up, he might take your shit or whatever, and all we can do is send him to the principal's office and he'll be back tomorrow, like that kind of shit. Now they kick motherfuckers out. They'll kick motherfuckers out unless it's a charter school. But back in them days, you damn near had to kill somebody before they would get rid of you. Like, in our days, you had to kill somebody.
That's one thing I gotta say. I mean, at least from what I'm gathering, because I'm reliving that, having a young kid.
Right.
We don't get any of that. Like, I don't get, well, right now everything is remote, whatever, but there was never incidents, there haven't been, knock on wood, where anything violent or it's like a bully who's like seems really dangerous. It's regular. It seems very ordinary kind of kid stuff. Nothing like, and I'm sure those kids exist, but they seem to monitor it differently, and they seem to nip it on the butt early. So I think the bully campaign has been somewhat effective, unless it's just like this immediate area doesn't have that. But I remember every school had that. I remember there was a school on Staten Street, the Lower East Side. It was junior high school 25, and these two brothers were notorious in the neighborhood for picking on kids, and he was picking on this kid every day for like a year, and the kid brought a knife to school and killed him. Yo, like in 7th grade.
Woo!
Yeah, and then the kid flew off to the Dominican Republic, so he was, you know. He had his own little plane and shit.
He had all planned all this shit.
Wow, you know, like in 7th grade. That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, bullies. You know, even and I'm older than you, so bullies, was a part of. Yeah, that's why this whole boo-boo story is just a part of the whole thing. Like, it wasn't like you had a campaign or and and most parents, a lot of parents, especially parents, working parents, they would say you got to fucking fight. You know what I mean? You got to fucking fight, or because if I come down there, I'm fucking everything. My mom was a bad motherfucker. So, my mom, I remember my mom punched a hole in the wall for some shit. I mean, like punched a, you know what I mean? Like, we can bring up your construction guy with this one. She punched a hole through the wall because she was tough. Yeah. So if I didn't handle it or we didn't figure out a way to handle it, she's gonna come, she's gonna handle it, and then she's fucking everybody up, like whoever, and then I'm gonna get fucked up too in the end, right? So
we're not defending yourself.
Right, yeah. So I already know what those ass whoopings are like. So I'm gonna, and I was the oldest, and the next oldest was 3 years younger than me, but the last three was the two girls, and then the youngest is my brother, and they all were 1 year apart. So those motherfuckers was always in school together, and they were like a little fucking, they weren't a gang, but if you fucked with them, they was the gang. Like, you know what I mean? So they had each other, because the youngest brother, he's half white, so he would always get picked on. You know what I mean? Everybody would pick on him, but my two sisters were like fighters. You know what I mean? And then they had each other, but with me, I was by myself. And you know me, I'm only 5'6", so this is the tallest I've ever been. So you can imagine how small I was back in the day. I remember, here's a good story. So this is South Jersey when we were living close to farms. And we had to walk to, like, on the dirt road. This is before Camden. So we had to walk on the dirt road. And then we used to get to the old school bus stops that were wooden. These are old wooden bus stops. They weren't like what they are now, like the bus stops for the MTA where they're glass. These were like wooden things like that.
Like a wood shed almost.
Yeah. And so they don't give a fucking in those areas. So I go down there and I don't mean to cut you off, but why do because those wood bus stops, they still exist, but like in rural places, you'll see them. Why do I always feel like the bus is never gonna come? Like when you see that, like, oh man, I'm not gonna get anything out here but a splinter waiting on this shit. Well, you ain't gonna make it in life if that's where the bus is picking you up at. You ain't going far. Let me tell you that. That's for real. I like that. That's true. So I go down there, and this is grade school again. Maybe junior high school, well, close to junior high school. And so the second youngest is not old enough to be with me. And the motherfuckers is picking on me, And I had real bad temper and I was crying. When you get real mad, you cry and shit. So I marched back home up the little dirt road. I used to have a machete. I don't know where I got it, a rusty machete that I used to sleep on a little bit. Rusty. I got that machete. And I started walking back, right? And now my mom, she comes in the car, and my mom had the fear of God in me. And she was in the car, like, get in the car. But I was like so mad. I was so mad. So I was like, I didn't get like where everyone could see it. Carrying the machete, going back down to the wooden bus stop. Wow. And I got to the wooden bus stop, and those motherfuckers ran like roaches when you turn the lights on. Gone. They just dispersed. And nobody ever fucked with me again that school year. Nobody. You know what I mean? But that's all it was. There was no reported to the teacher, reported to your mom. You had to deal with the bully. So I had a rusty machete. I'm glad they ran because I don't know what was going to happen, but I know I was done. I was done being picked on. You know what I mean? I was a little motherfucker.
It's a good thing they ran.
Yeah, it's a good thing because I wouldn't be here. I would be sick.
Life could have been a whole lot different, right?
A whole lot different. I could have been wearing these flannel shirts like NWA, like for real. You know what I mean? Like he's that guy.
Did you start boxing at a young age, like in Camden, when you or was that just in the Navy? Because I remember you were telling me.
No, that was just So that was just in the Navy. The thing is,
so that you started relatively later. You were older when you started.
Yeah, because and the thing is, when I went to the Navy, I was 17. So I was young. I graduated when I was 17. I was always the youngest. Yeah, I was in the military. I was in boot camp a month, and then I turned 18. I was in basic training, and then I got on the ship. I went
inspired going into the military.
One was because I wasn't going to college because I never took books home, so I barely passed high school, which was I kind of regret because I was kind of good with books until my mom got sick. Like I was a straight A student until she got sick the first time, and then once we started bouncing around, I just never had the focus to be an academic. So anyway, yeah, I graduated high school and I'm in the Navy, and then I went to basic in Orlando. Then I went to school in San Diego. Then I got on a ship out of Charleston, South Carolina, and Charleston on the ship named after Confederate general. All right, and Charleston is a place where one of their tourist attractions is a slave auction. Like this is one of their, you know what I mean? The first time I went there, I felt like Nat Turner. Like I was that mad. I was like, who the fuck's coming to, you know what I mean? Like I was ready to fucking start some shit like Nat Turner. Like I was ready to pop it. That's because I was like, how is this a fucking attraction? How is this cool? You know what I mean? The slave auctions where they used to sell black motherfuckers. Like that's one of their, that's how the South is. The South never forgets, right? They, and then I'm on a ship with all these rednecks, and I'm talking about like real rednecks, like real racists who don't hide it. Like, like they got the Confederate flag not only on their like ball cap, but also they might have a tattoo, and you know what I mean, and all that kind of shit. And so we were out in the sea, and then we don't have nothing to do, and then they used to have motherfuckers that would box, and I was like 130. I was real skinny.
So they had a boxing coach on there, like one of the Navy guys was a coach. He just happened to, maybe an ex-boxer.
No, just all ships, because we didn't have shit to do. They would have some boxes on their boats, and then if y'all pulling into the same port, they would have like these little box offs and shit like that. So I got it.
Was there any formal training?
No formal training.
Yeah, that shit wasn't boxing. That was
it was. That was because
that was like Navy scrapping.
Yeah, it was Navy scrapping, but some motherfuckers were gifted.
They knew how to move.
Yeah, like I didn't know I knew how to fight, but I think I was more because I was so skinny, so I was really, really fast, and also I was really, really scared to get hit. You know what I mean? So I'm like trying to hit. So I would hit motherfuckers first, and I was lighting people up, like lighting everybody fast, like real fast, like. And I had this white dude who knew how to train people, who took a liking to me. So I had a trainer. So, and you know what I mean? And he was teaching me how to jab and all this shit. So when I got into these loose, like you say, Navy scraps, I was fucking people up. Fucking them up. Everybody my size. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 130.
130. Yo, in short, I fucking them up. And
yo, you were walking around the boat like, yo, anyone for 115 or 130, that's me.
Right. Yeah, 5'6", 5'7", and below, I'll fuck all y'all up. 5'8", 5'9", we cool. You know what I mean? Unless
Yo, but that's the weird thing about how weight distribution, because there's guys who are like 6'1" that weigh 130. Can you imagine that shit? 6'1", 130, and you gotta fight.
Sergio. Yeah. So Sergio. So it was me and this other guy named Larry McPee. He was 6'4", and he and I were the only boxers at that time for our ship. I used to spar with him. Now I don't know if you ever spar with somebody 6'4" with long arms, but you could be like, you could be like halfway across the room and you think, well, this motherfucker, like like he's on the other side of the ring and I'm on this side. There's no way he could hit me.
Yeah.
But he was 6'4". He would lean and then that arm would go.
Yeah, it's wild.
And boom. So what I learned to do with him, as soon as he extended that arm, I just go under and I would tear those ribs up. I would fuck him up.
Yeah.
Fuck him up.
The thing is about fighting someone so much taller is that the shorter person has to work so much harder.
Right.
All he has to do is flick that jab on it. If it's an educated jab, he's good. But a smaller person, we gotta bend, we gotta weave, we gotta roll, and we gotta throw body shots. When you throw the body, you feel it in your core. You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard punch to throw, and it's a harder punch to accept. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Like you throw a good body shot, you'll flatten the wheels off their vehicle. They're gonna be a little gunshot.
Yeah, you see people get knocked out with body shots. Unless a tall guy has that Tommy Hearns jab, you know what I mean? Because if a guy has a jab like Tommy Hearns and he's tall, and you short, he's fucking you up with that jab.
Because he's gonna soften you up and land that right hand.
That's what Tommy Hearns was doing to Sugar Ray, right? He almost had his eye closed, but Sugar Ray was that dude. And Sugar Ray caught him in the 14th round back when they used to go.
14.
Back when they used to go 15 rounds.
That's nuts.
Right. So yeah, I used to box for my ship. And so I had to rep. Like,
that's dope.
The little guy, nobody would fuck with me. And and they couldn't find dudes that would box with me. And dudes, I'm talking about these white dudes who were ballroom fighters, fucking people up in the bars, like fucking people up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like fucking people up. But when that organized fighting, they can't do that. But when they can bust a bottle over somebody's head, you don't want to fight that guy. You know what I mean? He's that guy. You know what I mean? But that kept me out of a lot of trouble, and it also kept me in shape. Until I got hit.
I mean, it's inevitable, right? Everyone gets caught.
Yeah. And the funny thing about, and I know a lot of people have talked about this, but I remember when I got the last fight I had. I remember when the dude hit me. It was in Naples, Italy, and all these ships were in. I won the first day. I won a guy in my weight class. I beat that guy. The next guy was out of my weight class, but there was no one else to fight, so I fought him. No excuse, though, because he was only a couple pounds heavier than me. And I was really good on my feet. So when he would swing, I would be over here, and he would be like, fuck. I could hear him going, fuck, right? He was like pissed off. You know what I mean? Because he was missing me.
That means he was throwing hard ass punches.
Yeah, he was trying like you know what I mean? Like I fucked this girl, I owe him some money,
that's also an indication that they're a mean person. Because I remember being in the ring with somebody who I was frustrating, and they were like, motherfucker, like, yo, and he was hard, and it was a heavier guy too. I remember he was swinging like. Even when I blocked it, I was like, oh, like he's bad intentions.
Yeah, bad intentions.
Motherfucking bitch.
Yeah. I mean, I remember this. And this is 1984, maybe or something. Well, anyway, but as soon as I stopped dancing on my feet, and I didn't have that proper training. Like real proper training. Like if I had a real trainer at that time, I probably would have been pretty decent.
How many rounds did you do? 4 rounds?
Well, we would do 3 rounds.
Okay.
We do three 3-minute rounds.
That's a
You know?
long
And
time.
That's a long time when you ain't
because in the amateurs it's 3 2-minute rounds. And
Well,
people listening and who never boxed before, like, oh, that's only 9 minutes. Yo, you do 9 minutes with punches thrown at you and someone, you know, trying to pop your head with the adrenaline and being scared and you fought the day before and it's a lot of shit. Anxiety will extract your energy.
Thank you.
Oh
because your adrenaline,
it feels like you can't even move your legs. Like,
your adrenaline is so high from trying not to get hit. Like, and you don't know that you got hit. Like the next day I was sore, like those body shots, but I didn't feel them the first day.
No.
You know what I mean? But yeah, so the next guy I fought, so as soon as I stopped and planted myself, he caught me right in the nose. Boom, he just tagged me like he's like, yeah, I got this mother. Boom. And I didn't even feel the punch, but my legs felt the punch and I went down. Like I never ever felt the punch. Not even the next, but my pride got me right back up. I jumped right back up because I was, you know, I had my boys from the ship. Now I'm mad. So I jumped right back up. They did this, you know, standing 8 count. Boom. You okay? I'm okay. As soon as they let us go, boom, I knocked him down. Boom, he went down. Right. Yeah. So now everybody's like in the, you know, because it was outside at this festival.
Man, that's like, wild, man.
Yeah, we got a real fight here, right? Because I was so embarrassed and pissed off.
Yeah.
As soon as they let me go, boom, I hit him and he went down. Boom, boom, boom. And he got back up.
Shit.
So now we, you know, we facing off and all this bullshit. And next he caught me again. And when he caught me, I went down, my nose started bleeding. But what happened, what had happened, I had those 3/4 Adidas sneakers on, not boxing shoes. And when I went down, I twisted my ankle and I couldn't continue. Now here's the cool thing. You can be in the military, you can be on just the boxing team, like there's just musicians, you know, but of course you have to be really, really good, like really, really good. Otherwise you just box for your ship or the base or whatever. Right. But the Army boxing team was there for the festival. Like they had their boxing team there. And I saw a couple of those guys fight. And I was like, I'm glad I'm not fighting those guys, because those guys were fighters, like real, you know, technical, like, you know what I mean? I'm not getting lucky, I'm gonna knock you out type fighters. Where we were, I was decent. I was like, I have raw talent, but I didn't start boxing at 10. I didn't start boxing at 12 or even 14. I started at fucking 18, right? Anyway, the Army boxing coach saw my fight. He because we shipped out the next day. We shipped out the next day. He saw the fight that I was in. He got my name. He got my name. He got my ship. He mailed me a pair of real boxing shoes.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, this shit makes me want to cry thinking about it. I'm a pussy.
Nah, that's awesome. I remember seeing those boxing shoes. When I went to your crib, they were hanging off the...
Thank you.
They're high tops.
Right. The Pumas. Ponies. You were right. He sent me those. He saw that fight and he saw what happened to me, and he knew that I twisted my ankle because of those sneakers.
Yeah.
He mailed me a pair of boxing shoes. Yeah.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah. I'll never forget. Yeah, you saw those. I used to hang them on the wall.
I never even met the dude, right?
No, I never met him. Never met him.
Wow, man. That's really cool.
So he showed respect. Yeah, that was a good time. Yeah.
What was your favorite place to visit when you were on the ship? Were there any place pop out, or was it the kind of thing where you're kind of in and out just on the boat? How was it?
You know, they used to say with the Navy, you see the world, but you see it through a peephole.
Yeah.
That's the saying. The nicer the place, the less time we had. And I was a radio man. I was ship-to-ship communications, and also knew Morse code. I actually knew Morse code. So Radio Central we always had the man radio central, that because that was our communication. So when we pull in, we would always have less liberty because we had to rotate. Sometimes we would do 6 on, 6 off, 6 hours on and 6 off, or 12 on, 12 off, or whatever. But my favorite place is really actually Italy. Anywhere in Italy was I had the most fun. And of course, Naples is the big Navy base, but San Remo, Capri, Ischia, Anna Capri. And I'll tell you why I like Italy is because one of the food, you know, of course, the real Italian food. Every meal you drink wine, even breakfast you drink wine. Like motherfuckers drink wine. And plus they dress, you know, I love clothes, you know, and I remember watching all the natives but the best thing that happened, I used to play the drums in high school, and I used to read music, right? And so I was taking this like a little ferry ride in Italy. One of those, I might have been Naples, and so they're very festive. They had the guy playing the guitar and the guy on bongos, right? And he was fucking it up, like he couldn't keep a beat, right? And they sing it in Italian.
When you first said he was fucking it up, I thought it was like, oh, he's fucking up, like doing his thing.
No, yeah, I know.
He was really fucking it up.
Yeah, that's why I had to put in he couldn't keep a beat, right?
Hold that thought. Remember our friend Mo? Remember Mo?
Which Mo?
Mo, not Mo. Mo that used to visit us at Laugh Lounge.
Oh yeah.
But he used to play the congas. But at the special moments, you know what I'm saying? At those parties. And
right.
He would he would look it up, but in a good way. It was nasty. So I was like, damn, how do you do that? Like, that's coordination, man. It's like,
right. Yeah.
With the congas. So
right. So
I envisioned someone playing it that good, but this guy was messing it up, you're saying.
Yeah, he had little small ones, little small, and they were singing in Italian, but they, so somehow I said, hey, give me a crack at them, you know what I mean? And I never played those, but I knew I could keep a beat, you know what I mean? I need to know what they were singing about, and who knows what they're singing? They could have been singing definitely probably some food, right? Because they're really good with food. So they're probably singing about like some homegrown dish. And I got on there and I was keeping the beat. You know what I mean? And of course, now, this black motherfucker here, he's keeping beat. And when we pulled that little ferry back into the port, you know how many invites to these Italian people's homes I got because I fucking helped with the little party. Yeah, man. Yeah, so Italy was my favorite, but also the Virgin Islands was nice too.
Yeah.
And we were fleet sailors. So, fleet sailors, there's fleet sailors, which are the boats, and then there's people who are on the bases. So fleet sailors, we're like those dogs. We're like, there's 2 types of dogs who aren't on chains, and then the dogs that are on chains. And a dog that's on a chain, once that dog gets off the chain, you ain't never getting him back, right? That motherfucker's just like, so we were the dirtbag fleet. So when we came in, we had all this built up, money because we have been out to sea so long, and also this built up, we ain't getting laid. So when we came in, we were the motherfuckers that everybody wanted to hang out with because we had money, we had a little bit of time. So when you only have a little bit of time, you go to the club, you ask every chick at the same table, you want to dance? You don't want to dance? You want to dance?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Moving.
I ain't got no time.
The same enthusiasm is consistent between all. You guys are in your white suits.
Yeah.
Eager.
Now we're in white suits, them fucked up Cracker Jacks or whatever. But fuck it. I've been on the boat for 30 days.
You have to wear those the entire time.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes they let you wear your civilian clothes, but most times you have to wear, and that's like.
I guess it's best to wear your uniform so people know what's up, right?
But also sometimes you make yourself a target too, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's dirtbag neighborhoods in every country, everywhere you go. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, we fleet sailors, boy, we were wild. Imagine how you and I used to hang out.
Yeah.
Times 10. Okay, there you go.
My friend was he was in the military as well, and he told me he went to Tijuana, and
Woo! I've been there.
yeah, but the bar. He told me he got into a bar brawl, and he got in trouble out there, man. There was a nasty bar brawl in Tijuana, Mexico, man, and like. He said it lasted like 20 minutes because the patrons were regulars there and they locked the doors. And they were just fighting in there for mad long, like.
They lucky they didn't get killed.
No, I mean, he said that, one of his friends got beat up bad. And, but there was a cop in there involved in it. And he did like a night in jail. And he's got out. I need to get him on the podcast too, because he had some military. You ever gone to a brawl like in a foreign country with your buddies or nothing like that?
And when that's like the movie The Bronx Tale. Remember that part where Chad
reminded me of like something like that.
Yeah, well, remember the bikers
locks the door. Ugh.
Locks the door. When somebody locked the door,
yeah, even if they put their heel on the door. When they go like this in front of the door, that's trouble.
It's worse than a hard flick.
Even if they do this to the door.
Yeah. Even if someone's standing blocking the door, it's trouble. You went to the wrong bar. You went to the wrong bar in the wrong night, wrong country, and you started the wrong argument.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I've been to Tijuana. Tijuana is dusty. Tijuana, dusty, man. It's like,
the amount of crime and the amount of deaths that in Mexico from the cartels and from the crime activity is so abundant. It is jarring. And I don't even use that word often, but it is jarring. You hear about it quite often. I mean, I can't comprehend that level of violence and bloodshed that goes on.
Yeah, so all these motherfuckers up here, all these fake gangsters up here, and I'm sure if I said that to some of these motherfuckers, they fuck me up. But they ain't got shit on the cartel. The
weird thing is, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, the administration that's in place right now, they went to such lengths to supposedly, build an infrastructure to block that sort of activity here. But they don't want to come here. You know who wants to come here? People who are trying to get away from that want to come here. But those guys, no one really wants to, like those guys who are actively participating in that and get down like that, they're comfortable there. They're doing their thing over there. And they can get away with it so much more easier over there.
Right.
Like those guys don't want to come over here. They want to, they want to sell, some of this stuff. But they don't do that. They do that. They don't even do that across the border. They do that underground. They got underground tunnels.
Yeah.
Dude, these underground tunnels are so sophisticated. Have you seen them? They got some electrical. Some of them even have their own plumbing. Like, it's wild, bro.
Right. Or like the one when your boy, the boy that escaped from the jail. What's that little cat's name that escaped from jail? He's my height. Yeah. That nigga, the last time he escaped, it was an underground tunnel with a motorcycle. Nigga had a motorcycle under there.
Yo, it's almost like a Nintendo video game. It's like he's like Mario going through those little tubes, doom, 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 and then leaving it on an Excite bike.
Yeah. Yeah, or like the old cartoons with you on the railroad, you doing that thing like that. This nigga had a motorcycle and jet. They don't play.
It really is. We get little snippets of what's going on, but it's so beyond our comprehension. Listen, obviously, that doesn't happen if you ain't got the paper to pay people off internally. Like all that shit is like set up for him to escape. It wasn't like he was so good at his people from the outside got him in. It's an inside out.
Yeah, I mean, and they had a camera on his room. I mean, they had a camera on him 24 hours, and he still.
Did he get caught again?
Yeah, he got caught. Yeah, he's in America now. Yeah, he got caught again.
Yeah, give it a couple of more years, and then you have every dude from the inner, every dude from the hood wearing a shirt with El Chapo on it.
Yeah.
There's nothing more that pisses me off.
There's somebody wearing some shit.
Oh God! Like remember in early 2000, it wasn't even a real character. It was a fictional character. Dudes would walk around with leather coats with Scarface on it. Al Pacino, so tacky. I'm like, I mean that lasted way too long.
Well, one day was
boots with Al Pacino painted on them.
Well, one day was too long, man. I mean, yeah, and a fictional character.
That's a fictional character. That's like having Rocky Balboa like tattooed on you, like the greatest fighter of all time. That's not a real guy.
Speaking of, that's how fucked up Philadelphia is. Philadelphia got a statue of Rocky Balboa, but not a statue of Joe Frazier.
Yeah, that's super dirtbag.
Super dirtbag. Yeah, they got a statue of Rocky Balboa, but Joe Frazier, who was the heavyweight champion of the world and fucking beat Ali, knocked Ali down in the 15th round.
Yeah.
After Ali did his 3-year suspension because he didn't want to go to the Vietnam War, in the Garden. And they don't have a statue of Joe Frazier. That's how.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of black excellence that comes out of Philadelphia that needs to be appreciated. I mean, we got the Roots, I believe, what's her name? Jill Scott. There's a host of different musicians or whatever. But Philadelphia's dirtbag, the way they have treated black people for a long time.
You ain't got to tell me.
Super dirtbag. They dropped a bomb on Germantown. Remember that shit?
On the group move. Yes, I do remember that. Yes.
Yeah, I just saw a documentary about that recently. It kind of like all this stuff that I learned about 15 years ago, research. I was like, oh, I forgot that a bomb was dropped in a neighborhood. A bomb, because these people were squatters. They didn't
burnt up kids. Yes, Frank Rizzo was the mayor. Listen, those Philly cops are some of the racist cops back in the day. You didn't want to fuck with them.
Yeah, and this is the thing, man. Like
he remembers that. It's good shit.
Yeah. I'm thrown by it because this is what happens, right? That wasn't that long ago. It was long ago, but it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And I say that to say this, that, when you get a system like that, it's still evident in that system. They just hide it better. They're not as blatant.
Exactly.
It's deeply ingrained.
Exactly.
So when people, when the conversation is brought up about abolish the police or defund the police, first of all, I don't like those words because anyone who's in the middle is like thrown by abolish because that seems so extreme, or defund. I mean, granted, you hope that people do their own research and learn what they mean by that exactly, but people don't because the majority is just like, oh, I'm going to go with that one word,
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, I just think it should be worded and explained differently. But that's the reason that these things are coming up, because this shit's been going on a long time. And it's not like we had this stuff premeditated, like, oh, Grant, we're going to talk about this. It just so happens we're talking about Philadelphia, and that's a part of Philadelphia history. Like,
listen, my motherfucking material, and I talk about, racial profiling, but I talk, I do shit. A lot of my shit is all based in truth. Whatever. I've always never really cared about who's going to get the biggest laugh. To me, it's more about how much truth you put on the table. That's it for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When, the arts found me when I was working in Atlantic City. Somebody talked me into doing stand-up. Say, hey, you're funny, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you that story. We could probably have to do a part 2. But anyway, say when you're old, you have a lot of stories, right? But
I love it.
But it's true. But the thing is you said a good point. A good point is, and for black motherfuckers, it's been like this since we got off the boat. It's always been like this. We're the only people who came on the boat that didn't want to be on the boat. All the people who came by the boats from other countries, different immigrants at different times, we are the only ones who were on the boat that didn't want to be on the boat. We fought wars for every war we participated for, the Civil War, World War I, II, whatever, but we never really fully had our own war for our own shit all the way. Now, I'm not saying because we weak or whatever, because of course they're very insidious in how they, split and divide, right? Divide and conquer. Thank you. Yeah, but as far as this thing with the police, it's been since day one, and a lot of it now, it seems so much is only because everyone has a camera. Everyone has a camera, or there's a camera on every corner. There's a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? But it's always been like that. And you're right. It's ingrained, and they'll just get sneakier with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
right.
It's true.
Things like, if we even like focus like on New York, things have gotten better. I believe they gotten better, but there's still like these highlighted cases. Like, you can't forget about Amadou Diallo. You can't forget, you can't sweep it, and how these cases were handled, dogs. And that wasn't long ago. Like, people say, that wasn't long ago. I mean, Eric Gardner, that shit is fresh in my mind. I think about that, I'm like, yo, the fact that they didn't indict these guys like 3 years later, like, it is wild that the guys are still getting paid. And the argument that they had to adapt this, that was not a chokehold. Like,
nigga, if that wasn't a chokehold, then I'm not a black motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, by the way, chokeholds have been illegal when there was I believe his name was Ruiz, I believe, and I apologize for getting his name wrong, but he was killed in the Bronx years ago by a cop, get in a chokehold. You remember that one? It was a famous one. Anyway, what I'm saying is stuff happens time and time again, but there are no consequences.
None.
So internally, like, as far as like the faces of police officers, that has gotten better, where it is the most diverse. Like, it's not like the fire department. The fire department is like 98% white, and like to get in there, like, I don't know what you gotta do. I know, but the police department is super diverse, but it doesn't mean that the mentality is still not the same.
All right. I'm glad you brought that up, because you segue into all those years I worked with NYPD. Remember, I worked with NYPD as an actor.
I do remember that. Doing some very important work, which goes into like mental health and how you deal with these sort of when the police have to deal with people with mental illness. And now New York has, because there's so many people, they have so many mentally ill people. And the thing is, the mentally ill people, over 95% of the people that are homeless have some sort of mental illness. And all administrations for the last 30, maybe even 40 years, whether they've been Democrat or Republicans, have been slashing money from mental health and all this kind of shit. When they're trying to balance the budget, they cut all these services that a lot of people don't scream about, because a lot of these people don't have voices or whatever, or don't have time to organize. Because when you're fighting for a sandwich, you ain't got time to march. You trying to eat. I don't got time to march, right? I don't even know where the fuck I'm gonna live at. I don't got time to march, right? So these people when they have an episode, they'll bring them to the hospital. Hopefully, if they don't get fucked up, they come to the hospital, medicate them, and put their ass back out on the street, because they don't have no long-term care for them. So I used to portray mentally ill people in different situations as an actor to teach NYPD new recruits, but also the old salt dogs that have already been on the force for a long time, how to deal with mentally ill people without two things. One, the mentally ill person getting hurt, and or the police officer or law enforcement getting hurt. Now, that would be in some scenario where my wife was schizophrenic, which is ironic because my mom has schizophrenia. So my wife has an episode. It's called Schizophrenic Wife, where neighbors hear some arguing. They hear some yelling, so they call the police. The police come knocking at the door. And I go, who is it? And they go, it's the police. Blah, blah, blah. And I go, I didn't call the cops. And they go, well, we have to. I said, listen, I ain't call the cops.
I don't want to let them in because the police has been to my house 3 or 4 times before because my wife has episodes. But the last time they dealt with my wife, they almost broke her arm. So I'm not letting the cops, anywhere near my wife, but they have to come in. They gotta come in and see. They have to do that, right? So I open the door. My wife is downstage and she's having an episode. And I'm saying, hey, look, my wife's just having an episode. I got a new job, yada, yada. It's okay, I got it. Now they supposed to look at me and look at her, and they see her in her, like say zone or whatever. So one cop's got to approach her, but they got to ask me first. Don't just blow by me. Otherwise, it's going to be a big rumble and all this other stuff. But no matter what the scenario was, if I was the guy who was calling the cops, they always wanted to tase me or arrest me or something. And the instructors would be like, cut. And they'd be like, he's the guy who called the cops. Why are you going to tase him? You're going to tase this guy. This guy called the cops, but you want to tase him. Please explain that to me.
And that would happen. That would happen in practice.
In practice, my brother.
Wow.
People who aren't on the force, people who've never, yes. And these are the people that are going to be the new cops.
Yeah, yeah. And also, like, that is great that training is done, but it's not enough of it, right? It's just not enough. Like, they brush over it,
Well, yeah, and they brush over the part, like, because at this part, they should deal with the racist part right here. Because this is the part that's going to go out. And this is somehow it's going to blow up.
I mean,
it's going to be another.
It's such a complex thing because not only are they racist, they're scared. They're not compassionate. Because I got to be honest with you, a lot of the individuals who I met that want that sort of job, they lack that sort of thing. It's like
empathy. Yeah,
they want that power, and it's just like, and it goes. It's also some military friends that I have, like. Some of them are a little off. Like I have military, not all, but I have like a few guys who are friends of mine.
Right.
In the military, they were wild, and they didn't say, "Oh, I could do this in the military."
Right.
I get away with this shit in the military. And luckily they've been able to sustain. Everything seems fine, but it's a complex. It's very complex. But there needs to be. There's a lot of different things, but. Better screening, and I think the money should be distributed a little differently because
of course, yeah.
You see that the protests in New York haven't really got out of hand. They popped off a little bit when the initial verdict, when the initial response with Eric Garner and stuff. But for the most part, they've been peaceful. For the most, all the protests we have, they've been a little isolated. But the amount of military equipment that the police have is super dirtbag.
Yeah,
they're dying to use that shit.
And they will. Listen, and they will. Let me tell you something. They will. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, I've had many experiences where cops were almost shit almost happened. And I'm not even like a real dirtbag because there's a lot of motherfuckers who live the streets and, and they deal with cops and, there's motherfuckers, because we watch all these shows where a motherfucker is like, you watch a cold case show and this motherfucker is the one who did this crime. By the time they catch up with this motherfucker's in jail for some other shit, right? Because that's the type of life they live. They're just a criminal. That's what but a lot of us aren't criminals. Right. Most of us are criminals. Now we might do some criminal shit like try to get away, but like we ain't criminals. Like I'm not robbing somebody. I ain't trying to rape somebody. I already told you I don't do B&Es. I don't kill motherfuckers. You know what I mean? I've been really, really mad at white America, but I ain't try to kill a white motherfucker yet. You know what I mean? I'm keeping it under control. I'm not a criminal. I have criminal thoughts, but I don't have criminal actions. You see what I mean? There's a difference between have criminal thought and criminal action. Like I've seen cops where I wish I could just fucking blow this motherfucker, but I know I ain't gonna blow this motherfucker up because, like you said, they got shit that can blow shit up for real.
Yeah.
I just have the image in my head. I don't have a tank. I don't even have a gun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So you see what I mean? That's the difference. But they treat everybody like a criminal.
Right. And and it's funny because I did an episode, I was like 2 episodes ago, and I kind of I felt like I let Giuliani off the hook. Remember when he was in office, the mayor?
Dirtbag.
So he's a supreme dirtbag, but I was trying to have a level head about it. But the fact of the matter is, where I am with trying to process some of the stuff is like, I remember him going after the mob. I remember he had the in the 90s, he went after the mob. He was notorious for that. I mean, notorious with the mob for that. And he had the stop and frisk thing, which affected blacks and Latinos.
Yeah,
like
of
hardcore.
course.
And it was, I said it wasn't racist in the 2 episodes, but it was racist. There's no doubt that was a, So I want to retract on that. And anyone who's listening to this episode, like, oh no. And I remember like sitting back and like, no, I let him off the hook. It was racist. It was like only young blacks and Latinos, and he was just combing the streets, and it was like this, there was no rights and instilled for young blacks and Latinos. And listen, some of them were actively participating, but most of them were innocent.
Listen,
he criminalized for small offenses, so his arrest record went up.
Right.
And arresting criminals, and all that goes into this,
Right. They have to see. Right. So they have to have their quotas for sure. Yeah. And I've been there I work with NYPD probably 13, 14 years. I listen to their see what I do. I'm a real motherfucker. I listen when motherfuckers are really talking, and when we're doing breaks or whatever, I listen. And I listen for consistencies, and I hear them arguing with each other about having to do these quotas. They're forced to have these quotas, so then they're forced to fuck with people. Yeah. Otherwise, they're getting pressure on their job and all this other shit or whatever. And then stop and frisk shit. I had a girlfriend who, when she used to live out in Canarsie, Brooklyn, which is the last stop on the L train. That's a long fucking ride for some ass, right? It's a long, like, it's so far east, like you're in Paris, right? It's a long fucking ride, right? But her nephew, they went to one of them schools before they were like charter schools where they had to wear school uniforms. Dude had got stopped so many times with this stop and frisk thing in his school uniform. And they talking about, you look like, what is this phrase? You look like you fit the description.
Right.
What description? This motherfucker got a school uniform. Right. There's nobody walking around with school uniforms robbing people like that.
Black or Latino, that's where it fits. It's like,
right.
That's it.
And the kid, but he's a nerdy looking kid. Now, I'm not saying nerds can't do crimes, whatever, because, there's all these everyday looking motherfuckers that can end up being serial killers and all. But most of the time they white because they let white people do that. Right. But they don't let nerdy, they fuck with us when we look nerdy as black and Latino. So we can't ever get to the serial killer spot looking like a normal motherfucker because they fuck with us no matter how we dress.
Right. And yeah, you're right. And the funny thing is that when I gave Giuliani and Curtis Sliwa, remember him? From the
hell yeah. I lived on 46 between 8th and 9th. That's where their home base is.
Yeah. So he was on his Giuliani's podcast.
He was what?
He was on Giuliani's podcast.
Oh, okay.
The shit what happens on a podcast, as you can see, like the comfort level, it's almost like we're talking to ourselves. We forget that a lot of people are gonna hear it, right? So people get loose. And him and Giuliani got loose. Like Giuliani had this snicker about how when he says, oh yeah, and the protests, when I was handling protests when I was mayor, 6 o'clock they have to be out. I would send the horses out and run right through them. And he like had a cackle. And that was
right.
Dogs, let the protest disperse organically. People are gonna leave. He said nothing about violence breaking out. He said at 6 p.m., if people didn't start moving, when it was supposed to be, he would send horses out. And he said he always used helicopters. So he had this mind where it's like, oh, it's me against the people. Like, it was never like, oh, I understand the frustration of people. I'm here to mend these wounds. He always looked at it like it was an opposition. Like, oh, you guys are wrong. You guys have no right. And that's a dictator state of mind. You know
right. So that's why people, circling back to what you're saying about, giving them credit for going after the mob. So when someone goes after the mob as vigorously as he did or whatever, you got to really look at that, because nobody really went after them like that, and unless the mob really did some big shit and they get caught up in some shit. But he went after them like he wasn't scared at all. Yeah. That tells you that this guy is power hungry. You know what I mean? Because he applied that same mentality to, you just said it, and he revealed himself to every group. You know what I mean? It's his way and no other way. Yeah. And and where he's at now is proven. He's really shown who he really is.
Also, it's like, the karma is like, it's biting him in the ass, like big.
Oh
time.
My God!
Dude is showing up to press conferences at the wrong place. Like, he's at a landscape place. Got the hair dye dripping down his face. I mean, he was on.
Yeah, he's on your boy Borak, and fucking touching himself, thinking he gets some.
I feel like should have harnessed a little more attention. Like, he got off the hook with that. That looked like he was.
But yeah, he got off the hook because people are like, that's just Giuliani. But anybody else, you'd be like, yo, man, you were rubbing your fucking cock thinking you getting some ass. You know what I mean?
I love the fact that he's a liability for the Republicans now. He's not doing anything good. Like, they need to just get rid of him because he's.
But they can't, because he's Trump's boy. The Republicans don't want to fuck with him, but he's Trump's boy, which lets you know how big of a dirtbag Trump is. But I already know that because I worked at Trump's castle in Atlantic City. And when I worked at Trump's castle in Atlantic City, his casino was doing the best at that time. And this is when he was still married to his first wife. And you know what we got for a Christmas bonus? A Trump's Castle keychain, my nigga. Okay? That's some dirtbag shit. Yeah, Trump's Castle keychain. That's what he gave everybody. They made all this money. So I know he's a dirtbag from day one.
That's hilarious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, but Giuliani, yeah, I'm glad you brought up Giuliani because a lot of people forget that. You know what I mean? And when 9/11 happened, everybody was like, giving him hand jobs like he was like the second coming of Jesus Christ. Well, you know what he did in 9/11? He did his job. He did what he was supposed to do.
That's exactly right. And the thing is, we're all so vulnerable. We've been attacked. I remember looking at him and I was just looking for a leader, like in our city. And he did a lot of the right things right then and there immediately. You know what I'm saying?
But he also was the one who put that command station down there when it shouldn't have been down there. He and that's why a lot of those first responders, the police and the fire department, all of them ended up, being sick but also being caught when the buildings went down because of the command center. He was also the one that pushed that. So there's always a 360 to the stories, but a lot of people. No one, like you say, no one investigates, no one do their homework, and you got to know the whole story, And the thing about the cops, working with the cops, they always says when you come to like a dispute with two people, there's three sides. That's the one person's side, the other person's side, and the common truth.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Right.
And you gotta, it's hard to not, be in some debate or follow somebody without your heart being into it. But your heart, if you put too much heart into something, you take away your head. And if you take away your head, you're only being loosed by, guided by your heart. You know what I mean? That's when you're gonna end up on, some stupid shit like Love and Hip Hop or some other thing like Cheaters or some bullshit. But you're not gonna be the one cheating. You're gonna be the one that's cheating on because you lead with your heart instead of like going, yeah, you know what? This motherfucker's going out for coffee at 2 a.m. That's bullshit. They don't even drink coffee. But you know, your heart, like, yeah, it would never do anything. But you're not thinking, right, wait a minute, this motherfucker don't drink coffee. Fuck, they going at 2 o'clock in the morning. They don't even drink coffee at 2 in the afternoon. But the heart.
Right.
Right.
His best cologne on.
Yeah, with your cologne on, or she put on her best dress to go get some coffee from 7-Eleven. What 7-Eleven are you going to? You know what I mean? Right? That's what I'm saying.
That's funny, man. Yo, last thing before I let you go, man. First of all, I'm so happy we did this, man. And we're gonna do it again.
Me too, brother.
But did you watch Mike Tyson and Roy Jones or hear anything about it?
You know, no, listen. I didn't want to watch it because
I didn't support it. I watched it the following day, but go ahead.
Okay, so you feel good about yourself. All right. So
I couldn't drop whatever money they were asking for.
Well, because those are two of the greatest warriors as far as boxing during our time. A prime Roy Jones, to me, when he was prime, you know, Mike Tyson was feared. He was knocking motherfuckers out. He was feared. But Roy Jones, technically, the shit that if you know anything about boxing, when at his prime, he was better at his prime as a boxer to me.
Yeah, I mean, he was just so unorthodox too. He was just so athletic.
Knocking people out, backing up, knocking, you know, his lead hand, he's tying his shoe with his glove, and then he knocking you out with that. Come on, nigga. Come on, man. You know what I mean?
Afterwards.
Yeah. Right. So, you know, he used to fight those chickens, and he used to study them and study all of that. So I did not want to see them. And I understand it was supposedly, you know, for charity and all that, but I did see some clips the next day. And to me, I was like, I'm glad I didn't watch that, because they look like two old guys fighting.
Yeah, and that's exactly. I was amazed by.
They did.
People are just starved. Especially during these times, people are just starved for something. I mean, we're in the midst of a pandemic. I think it was nostalgic for a lot of people. You know? I think it brought up like good memories. You know, oh, it's true.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't do that for me. Like the idea of it never did that to me. I was never excited about it.
Because you're a boxer, you're a boxer and you know about boxing. Like I know about boxing too. I know about boxing. Like I know about comedy. Even if I never go like as far as, you know, credits any higher or on a mass level, I know comedy. I know comedy through and through, and I know boxing too. Like I probably can't do the things that I know, but I know boxing. So I know, I'm like you, I don't want to see it from a boxing sense, even though I was a huge fan of them. But the older you get, the more you want to, as far as, and I'm glad I used the word nostalgic, the older you get, the more you long for the shit from back in the day you can't have.
Attractive to people, you know, and it was built up a certain way. But Roy Jones definitely didn't look, from what I gathered, like watching the next day on my phone, he definitely didn't have the same. He looked like the older guy, and he's younger.
Yeah.
He looked like the older guy. It looked like
he was huffing and puffing.
Yeah, he looked old. He was hugging, you know.
And Mike Tyson was trying to knock his block off, and Roy was holding that. Roy was holding that brother. He was like, "You ain't," you know what I mean? And did you see? If you saw the interview right after the fight, they both were breathing like they had just ran from the Bronx, like they were fighting in the Bronx to bring back the Bronx, and they got chased out of the Bronx. Like motherfuckers, like I don't give a fuck if you Roy Jones or Mike Tyson. We the Bronx, nigga. You don't do that. Like they ran from the Bronx down the West Side Highway.
For real. And it's just interesting, right? It's like we just had a Anthony Joshua fight Pulev, and that was a great fight, you know. But it doesn't garner the same attention because it doesn't have that nostalgic thing, you know, attachment to it. But so I guess the story behind it, you know, whatever's channeling the views, whatever's challenging the energy towards it. I mean, you got YouTubers doing exhibition fights against, you know, all that junk, but they come with a following. So it's like a comic who gets a a Netflix special, but never did an entertainer getting a Netflix special for comedy, but never did stand up. They got the attention gathered from somewhere else. It's applied, and no one cares because the number one thing is money is being made, and that's it. That's all people.
Good point. But you know what? That also brings back to what boxing is. Boxing is nothing but about money too. You know, yes, there's these fighters are, you know, these men and women have been fighting for the most part of their life, so they're skilled at what they do. But the spectacle of it is about, you know, the money and pimping the audience. Yeah. You know what I mean? For the most amount of money you can. So these YouTubers and all this other shit they're not doing anything new as far as pimping people. The way they're approaching it is different, but it's the same thing. It's selling a product. Yeah. You know what I mean? Selling a story. Yeah. You get behind who you think is going to, and whatever. And we, the audience, are the ones who are getting played or served, however you may look at it. That's really what it is. And welcome to America.
Yeah, you know I mean? You hit it right in the head. That's exactly what it is. But there was a kid from Brooklyn. His name is Chris Colbert, primetime. And I remember seeing him in the amateurs. And I got to tell you, he was on Showtime this past weekend. And me and Liz watched the fight. And Liz likes boxing, but you know what? She's like, I was like, oh, this is we're enjoying this shit, because what Chris Colbert displayed was, it was his first time headlining. He's 23, 24 years old. First time headlining. Super cocky, arrogant. Got that Mayweather kind of like, I don't even need to say, it's just a face, like And what he did in this fight against his most dangerous opponent, kid with knockout power, is that he rolled the dice. He boxed the kid. He brawled with the kid. He showed defensive savviness. And then he got mean. He got hit by, like, it was just he showed a lot of the tools that he had available. And man, they end up knocking the kid out. So it was like, no one's talking about that fight but boxing fans. But that shit was like exciting to me, because I was like, oh, this kid's been boxing since whatever age. He's from Brooklyn, Flatbush, and he just looked good, mean, pretty. Like, it was just like an embodiment of everything about. I was like, oh, that's the shit right there. So it was
right. So that's like, go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
In the shadow of 2 weeks ago, seeing a basketball player get stretched out, then seeing two real boxers go at it, and it's like, oh, that's the purest form of fighting, boxing.
There you go. So we can bring it back to our profession with stand-up. Like, and I guess it's going to get worse now because everything is going to be pushed more to social media. But there's a lot of motherfuckers that you see on the tube and stuff like that was representing stand-up. Now, God bless them. If you hustle, right? You do all, and you get there, whatever. But if you really, really want to see, motherfuckers that got all, like you just described with him, that can do it all, come to see some of those shows that we've done, or some of those shows we've watched other cats do. I mean, and when I say cats, male and female, because I'm not the type of guy that just, because there's a lot of females that just as funny as any fucking body.
And I've always said that, and I've always like that.
But I book shows, I book women, right? Yeah, I know women that could, any show you put them on, and they ain't scared. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
Me and you have always felt that way, and a lot of our, our colleagues, I've heard dudes like shit on, like, oh yeah, when's the last time you saw? I'm like, I know a lot of female comics are much funnier than you, motherfucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, can
handle any audience. So that's so you describing that young boxer, and no one's talking about him. It happens a lot in a lot of professions, and I think it's going to happen more because now, the thing with technology is, like when we do auditions now, as far as an actor for commercials or anything or TV shows or whatever, they ask you how many followers you have. I mean, how many? I got two. And one of them is me. Man, I don't have no followers. I don't fuck with that. But I can do the work. You see what I'm saying? I'm never going to, first of all, I'm a comic who believes that the audience dictates everything, right? I'm not going to say I'm the funniest, but I know I won't hurt a show. I know I can do any show. You see what I'm saying? But I don't have a huge name. So the money thing. It's about the money and what people think they can make off of you from the giddy up, and then in the long run, you know. And that's what the game is. It's nothing personal. It's just business.
Yeah, that's the way it is. Isn't it interesting, man? I mean, and we'll wrap up after this, but you know, when we were working together at the club, like, and now I can really be appreciative of it. But man, we work with some of the funniest motherfuckers. I mean, right? It was Greer Barnes we worked with. I mean, he's one of the funniest motherfuckers, you know, to ever hit the stage. Tony Woods, Patrice O'Neal, you know, Greg Giraldo. Remember Greg Giraldo?
Oh, you want to hear Greg Giraldo's story? Yeah, I remember Greg Giraldo. Greg Giraldo and I were on a show for MTV. It was an MTV was filming the shit. Me and Greg Giraldo was on this show. Of course, it's like about 10 comics, right? And they made it into a glorified bringer show, right? And Greg Giraldo and I were two of the funniest on the show. Now, me, I had all my muscles, so I wore like a vest with no shirt, no t-shirt underneath of it. You know, like some real dirtbag shit. And Greg Giraldo wore regular stuff. And Greg Giraldo has always been well written and really, really funny, right? You know what I mean? With his well written stuff. You know me, I'm just a motherfucker shooting from the hip, right? And I'm funny, right? Like that or whatever. And we blew it up. But I was getting ready to punch the manager in the face at this show because it was like a sold out show. And some of the people that was coming to see me, like he just went off on him. And we was like face to face. Now this is like an MTV thing. Wow. Face to face. I'm like, and Carrie Hoffman, the owner of Stand Up New York, fucking, you know, let him have it or whatever. But yes, I remember Greg Giraldo from that. I remember Greg Giraldo when he started, and he kept doing his thing. He was a hard worker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he was special. He was special. Yeah, man. We, you know, it's been dope. You know, I mean, there's definitely some funny motherfuckers out now, but those are like, you know how like, and everything has its place. But when I think of like the golden era, like those are dudes I think about, man. You know what I'm saying? And they're still doing it. A lot of those guys are still doing it. You know, but
yeah, oh yeah,
that's one of my favorites. You know.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And the thing about that MTV thing, they never showed it. It's one of those things, right? You know, it's one of those things like if they'd showed it, like my career might have been different. You know what I mean? Or it might not have been. There might have been like, who's this motherfucker wearing no fucking shirt? You know what I mean? I don't know. But, you know, because, you know, I was all muscled up. And, but the thing is, I was really, really funny. And Greg Giraldo was really, really funny. Like we were the two, as far as response, that's not like me saying it. I'm just going by response. Like I'm not one of those comics.
Styles, but you've always been that. You've always been a naturally funny dude. And we were talking about that shit earlier. There's motherfuckers who are not, you know, they could be funny on stage. And then like damn, you're like, can you go back on stage? Because you suck right now. Right.
Or if you interview them, you know, whatever. But you know, God bless everyone. Because this profession accepts consistency anyway, no matter how you do it, right? You know, it's true. You know what I mean? But it was one of those things like they never showed that piece, which was a detriment to both of us. But Greg kept going. Greg kept working hard because he was a really, really good writer. And he was pissed off because I remember he was pissed off because someone said he had some really, really funny jokes. And he was like, he actually said this, I'm half quoting, but he's like, that means I'm not funny. I remember him saying something to that effect.
Wait, the person said what?
One of the audience members was like, we were standing outside and, you know, hey, you real funny motherfucker. You know, that's why I have, you know, Funny MF as my Gmail. And then they said to Greg, man, you got some really funny jokes too, man. And he was like, yeah, but that doesn't, you know, and I remember him mumbling to himself, that means I'm not funny. But, you know, he was funny, and he was just funny and well written in a different type of way. Funny is fun.
That's an awkward thing when you're after the show. If you're standing next to another comic and like you can just feel like the audience member enjoyed one person, oh, you a fun motherfucker, and then they see the other one like, oh, you were good too.
Right, but it wasn't even like that. It was like they said that you got some really funny material, and he's being an artist. Like you know how we are. We're never satisfied with compliments, so or whatever. And but like Angelo Lozada said, to bring back our boy. In all them late nights hanging out with him, he used to always come to my crib when I was in Hell's Kitchen after he did Caroline's. And, we would have all these conversations about comedy and all this other stuff. But the one thing that always stuck with me was what he said was, but no matter, fuck all that other shit about, being very witty and all that other stuff. Our job, when you break it down, our job is just to be funny. That's all it is. No matter, it doesn't matter if you got great material or you're a prop comic or you do characters. Our basic job and our basic function as stand-up comics is just to be fucking funny. So fuck all that hating on other people and judging other people and judging yourself. Yeah. Or you should judge yourself on.
We're the worst at it. And when you said that, right. When you first told that Geraldo story, like that's what stuck with me. I was like, and that probably a lot of how he met his demise, feeling like that about himself.
Always, he probably never ever. Right, but look what he did. So me and him were right about the same time. But look how far he went, and I didn't. You see what I mean? And he's still never satisfied.
This guy.
It's just what it is.
Yeah, it's weird. Like there's definitely something that was a void in him. That was we all have something, but that's one thing, man.
No doubt.
Wild. It's it, and it's and I got to say it. Greg Giraldo is one of the tragic stories in comedy. It really is.
Yeah.
So
no doubt.
Like you think about it, like nothing is more important than your health and taking care of yourself, because it's a real shame. It's a shame how he went out.
He was straight and narrow with this MTV thing. You know what I mean? I was the wild motherfucker. You know what I mean? And the thing is, that's what's funny. You can never predict the future. The only thing you can predict is that we'll all die, but you can't predict how things will play out. And it's funny, what to me, it always fucked me up, because when I heard he, had these problems with drugs, and I was like, him? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because when I met him, he wouldn't even take a free drink. Wow. You know what I mean? I was drinking with my little shirt, no sleeves and shit.
He would get a drink ticket. You'd be like, "You gonna take that? I'll take that ticket." Because
I take that.
Some of these shows you go to, you get paid with drink tickets.
Paid with drinks. Customers trying to give you bumps and shit. I'll take that. I give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? But the next time we'll talk, hopefully you bring back. The next time we'll talk about the makeup of us comics. Like we all have those demons. We have some demons, and
I definitely want to do that again. Is that the weird thing about Zoom? I put this for 2 hours, and we're rocking 2 hours already. It doesn't even feel like that. That's a beautiful thing. That's how I know we're flowing, because when it's not, it'd be 30 minutes in. You're like this, like yo. But I don't want it to cut off. So I'm gonna have to put
because we're 2 hours and fucking
15 minutes.
More than, yeah. All right.
I don't want to cut off, but
okay.
Fantastic talking to you, man. I absolutely love you, man. And we're gonna do it again later. So this episode will be out, soon, and we're gonna people are gonna enjoy it, man. I'm so happy to have you on, Grant.
All right. Make sure you tell Liz I said hi too, man. All right.
Will do, brother. Take care.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Peace.
Peace.